I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, held December 1st, 2015 at 6 p.m. at the Cottonwood Recreation Center. And I will say that when we have the meetings here, we are not able to televise live. So those who are, that's why we usually try to really have them downtown, but I see that we would have never fit. So I'm glad we did change it. Our TV audience just won't be able to see this until later. And sometimes I think they're expecting to watch that. So we'll try to move along here as quickly as possible. Deputy Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Pratt.
Here.
Councilmember Garrison. Present. Councilmember Alinsky. Here. Councilmember Dowling. Here. Councilmember Hauge. Here. Vice Mayor Pfeiffer.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here. The next item is Pledge of Allegiance, and we have Alex Shore with us this evening. He is from the Mountain View Preparatory School, part of the Cottonwood Oak Creek School District. He is in 7th grade, and he is going to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and he is also, the way that I found him to do this was that I attended the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 7400 Pen and Patriotism Contest. And these young people are writing awesome papers to, if they win, there's like quite a bit of scholarship money that can be involved for their college. So it's a great program. So if you would all stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance with Alex leading us.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are you planning to read your paper?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So Alex will read his paper about patriotism.
According to the 2014 study, only 45% of all countries are fully free, and the most recent study shows a 5% drop in the total free countries from 2014 to 2015. I happen to have grandparents living in Venezuela, a corrupted country in decline. When I hear more and more of the chaos that this country is going through, I appreciate and understand freedom more and more. This is why freedom is the most valuable privilege to me. Freedom is never free. Many have died with valor to protect our freedoms, and we have responsibilities in order to obtain our freedoms. Freedom is what everyone deserves. Our Constitution states that all men are created equal. If there is freedom for one, there is freedom for all. Freedom is the ability to choose. As humans, we are able to go against our instincts and choose right, wrong, and anything in between. Freedom is priceless. Without freedom, our world is going downhill. Economies are crashing because people are taxed heavily in communism. 70% of the economy relies on consumers, and since the buyers in these environments need to save, 70% of the economy flops. Freedom is never to be taken for granted. My grandparents in Venezuela are in a harsh dictatorship in which many of their rights are taken away. While in America, we have unalienable rights and protections. Freedom is to be protected at all costs. Since freedom is imperative to a strong society, to prevent our society's collapse, our world must secure our freedoms regardless of cost. Freedom is how the world grows. With freedom, every human being is capable of their full potential, in turn helping the world. Freedom is our lives and identity. Take slaves for an example. Slaves in the 1800s were deprived of their rights, identity, and families. Some slaves weren't allowed to know their birth dates and family. If we were all slaves, we would be deprived of our lives. Freedom is how we learn. If our minds were not free, we would only have instincts, nothing more, therefore not knowing right or wrong. Freedom is tomorrow's world. Every day is special, but only with freedom. Tomorrow is something new. But without freedom, everything is the same because instincts never change. Since every day would be dull, today would be no different than tomorrow, making tomorrow's world inexistent without freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. So, on behalf of the city council, this is in lieu of a certificate that we normally make. We've got our wires a little crossed tonight. Sometimes that happens, but you'll get a nice certificate thanking you in the mail. So thank you, Alex. You're welcome. Let's all give this future leader a big hand for his. Makes me feel really confident about our future when you see young people like this, caring about freedom and writing about it. Okay, the next item is brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Mr. Bartosh?
Madam Mayor, council members, this Thursday we have two new City of Cottonwood police officers graduating. One is the brother of one of our employees. The brother of Morgan Scott, Rowdy Scott, is graduating. Wow. And also Eric, who was the young man who helped the officers during the Walmart incident. Wow. He's graduating as well. Also, the Police Citizens Academy graduation is this Thursday at 6 p.m. over at the police department. Just a reminder to everyone, Saturday is the annual chamber parade. That night is the Old Town Chocolate Walk and the Christmas tree lighting. We're going back to really lighting a real tree, which is at 6 p.m. that night. And as you may have known or recognized, we had a lot of cleaning going on at the rec center last week. The rec center is now open again, and the indoor pool will be operational Tuesday with some new play apparatus that'll make it a little nicer for the kids. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Okay, council members, Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone in the community that there's a free holiday concert at Yavapai College on Thursday evening at 6:30, 2 jazz bands, and you're all welcome to come on up. And the more people we get to support these things, the more often we will get these things in the Verde Valley.
All right, fantastic. Council members? Councilmember
I'll
Garrison?
go next. The Old Town Association's hosting 2 chocolate walk events this weekend. The first one is Friday night, I believe from 4 to 7, 4 to 8. And then Saturday, that one's a VIP. It'll be a tour of the tasting rooms and some of the local alcohol serving establishments in Old Town. The other one will be on Saturday from 4 to 8, I believe, 3 to 8. That one's a regular one. I think, how many stops this year? 40? 35 stops this year. So come get your fix on chocolate. You won't be able to eat it all, guarantee it. Also, the Christmas parade is this weekend. Hopefully you all can come out and attend that. It's the biggest turnout for Cottonwood this year, so come participate and enjoy the show.
And also at 6 p.m., as we will be lighting our new little Christmas tree by the Civic Center. And as you know, a few years back, the beautiful Christmas tree, the very large Christmas tree that was there, got ran over by a reindeer or someone. And we haven't had a tree. We've been using our electrical light system, but everyone yearned for a real tree. And so staff planted a tree. It's not very big this year, but it's got a lot of character and a lot of spirit. So we're going to light that tree, and at the same time we'll be lighting up the electrical lights, as I understand it, also. So we hope you can all be there at 6 p.m. to christen the new Christmas tree. And I just see that maybe in 50 years it'll be christened every year, and it'll be a little bit bigger by then. Okay, so my report to council. Anybody else have anything going on? On November 18th, I attended the Girl Scouts Thanksgiving dinner at the Elks Lodge, and this was a huge crowd. I bet you there were like 300 or 400 people there, I'm guessing. And Joni Boardman said that they do this every year for the community, and I was really surprised. It was my first year that they charged $5 for a meal, and I mean, it was everything that you would want for Thanksgiving plus pie, and for seniors, they charged $3. So it really was a gift to the community. I had lunch with Tricia Winters. She's Superintendent Barbie Wren's executive assistant, and she was wrapping up her shadowing day for the Verde Valley Leadership course that she's taking. On November 19th, I attended the Verde Valley Transportation Plan in Sedona, and I believe Councilmember Garrison was also there. And we wanted to learn about transportation, and the meeting in Cottonwood was the same day as same evening as the intergovernmental meeting. On November 20th, I attended the opening of the Southwest Wine Center tasting room at Yavapai College. Council members Pratt and Garrison were also there. And now you can go to Yavapai College, the Southwest Wine Center, and taste wines from Thursday through Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. On the 20th, I also attended a business and commerce roundtable hosted by Congressman Paul Gosar, held at the Arizona Commerce Authority in Phoenix. And one of the things that we did talk about was trade between Mexico and the United States and interstate highways that are needed to accommodate that trade. And we're losing lots and lots of trade to Texas and New Mexico and other states that are a little bit ahead of the game on this. On November 21st, I was invited to the VFW for the Penn and Patriot Awards, and we will have all 5 of the winners coming to council to receive the pledge and share their papers. To recite the pledge, not receive it. At the Old Town Center for the Arts, my husband Paul and I attended the South of Winslow group, and he had a ball. Can you believe that, Tim? He really liked it. It's an Eagles tribute band, and they were really great. If you guys get a chance to hear them, they were really, really good. Let's see. I'm serving on the Verde Valley Military Service Park Committee, and we meet weekly. And right now we're working on getting the Gatlin brothers to an event in April. So stay tuned. I think that should be fun. It will be a fundraiser for the Military Service Park. And tomorrow we'll be hosting the Mayor's Coffee Talk at Randall's Restaurant at 10 a.m. Hopefully people will stop in. A lot of people on the street ask me why we haven't had a coffee talk recently, and Councilmember Pratt will be the council member who will be attending that meeting also. And that's my report for this week. Moving on to the next item is call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and/or action per Arizona Revised Statute 38431-02H. Comments are limited to a 5-minute time period. Let's see. Got those. Okay, Roger Dagnall from Cornville would like to speak.
Thank you. My name is Roger Daniel, and I'm a outside water user. And I'm here tonight to speak again on the water rate increases and the differential between inside and outside. And I'd just like to start off by thanking this young man that stood up here and participating in the VFW. But I would ask the council if they are going to sponsor events, that they consider not losing that event, but they would consider maybe using that money to pay for water rate increases. If the council can control their spending, then we can all have a better chance at a better life. Let's hope that this extra money that is brought in from the water rates stays in the water department and not used for other things than what it should be used for. as all the outsiders are paying the higher rates to help pay for the maintenance of the water. And let's not forget, you get charged for the water whether you turn your knob on or not. Whether you consider not using it or conserve it, you still pay the full price. Again, I see that we have another problem yet in the city, and I believe that's the pensions for our fire department and our police department, and possibly also the city workers. Let's take care of them, and let's not take money, again, that is being raised every year or every month from the water to build something else. I hate to use the $63,000 that was set aside, but $63,000 might have paid for half the users, whether they were inside the city or outside the city. And I just think that the city needs to take a better look and do something better with their money and even those rates up so that we can all live better. So thanks again, and it's good to see all these bikers down here.
Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate them. Was there anyone else in call to the public? Because everybody else is for an item that's already on the agenda. Okay. We will move on to the next item, which is approval of the minutes. I read them, and yes, Mr. Pratt?
I was going to say, I didn't see any problem with them. I move we approve the minutes of the work session of November 10th, 2015.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Pratt made the motion and the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Comments regarding items on the agenda are limited to a 5-minute time period per speaker. Is there anyone here tonight that would object to changing that to 3 minutes? Is there anyone here that needs more than 3 minutes to share their thoughts on an issue? And if there are, then we'll leave it, but if not, we'll change it to 3. Anybody object? Yes.
I timed my statement and it was right at 4 minutes.
Okay. So we have one that's 4 minutes. So council, everyone else agrees that 3 minutes would be enough and we'll need one person at 4 minutes? Does that meet everyone's approval? And remind me, do we need a motion for that? Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to change the time limit to 3 minutes except for one request for 4 minutes.
So moved.
Okay, so the vice mayor made the motion and Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So I wanted to move Thunder Valley Rally up next, but we have something that shouldn't take too long, and our staff member, it's his birthday. So if we all don't mind if Charlie can celebrate his birthday tonight by going ahead and getting these items out of the way, and they shouldn't take too long. We've already discussed them in detail at other meetings.
Should we sing him happy birthday?
Let's do happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Charlie, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And I must say, you look really good for 75.
Getting up there. How did you even know that?
29, 39, that's right. So we have ordinance number 617, amending the city's zoning ordinance by deleting section 302, conditional use permits in its entirety, and adding a new section 302, conditional use permits, second and final reading.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor and council members. This is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance regarding conditional use permits, and I'd like to just give you a brief summary of the process that we've been through and the key points. This issue originally came up with concerns from the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the implementation of conditions and enforcement of the timeline and issues there. In June of this year, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a work session with the city attorney, who gave helpful information and provided good insight to help with the direction to go with. And in August, the Planning Commission held a meeting to go over the issue in depth, and by their September meeting of the commission, they had a draft ordinance with the proposals. And as you remember, the issue was discussed in depth at the work session of the City Council, and that was in October. And then the draft ordinance was just a few weeks ago for the first reading in November. One of the key points of this is that it changes the process for removing the automatic recurring review that conditional use permits typically go through, coming back every couple of years and over and over. It would just be once, so that will be a major change. The criteria section, which is currently scattered through that section of the ordinance, is assembled into one new section where it's categorized. And then the revocation process, which I don't know if that's ever been used, but it needs to be in there, was unclear, and so has the procedures spelled out more, just 1, 2, 3. And this will represent, I think, good changes for the people who are current permittees and future permittees. It streamlines the process. There has been no changes since the first reading. There's been no input or complaints or appeals, so it's no changes there. And if you'd like, the next item is also a companion. If you'd like me to just roll into that and give a presentation and get that done.
Ordinance number 618, amending the city's zoning ordinance by adding new section 311, certificate of zoning compliance, second and final reading. So yes, go right into that one.
So this is creating a process that will be used administratively to document the completion of the conditions in a timely manner, and it's just a one-page form that the applicants will get, and it'll go in the file, and it'll just clarify what's done. It's widely used in other cities and counties. It's called the Certificate of Zoning Compliance, and so it's just creating a new step to help keep track of everything. And so unless you have any other questions, that's the presentation.
Okay, comments or questions? Mr. Pratt?
We did discuss this extensively, and again, Charlie, looking through it, you deleted things that should. There is a lot of clarity here, and it'll be good for economic development. It'll be good for the developers and the city. So I just want to say I appreciate your hard work on this, and I think it's a good thing.
Okay, any members of the public want to speak on this item? If not, I would entertain a motion, Mr. Pratt.
I move to approve ordinance number 617 and ordinance number 618.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, Mr. Elinsky seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Deputy Clerk, please read ordinance number 617 and ordinance number 618 by title only.
Ordinance number 617, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending the city's zoning ordinance by deleting section 302, conditional use permits in its entirety, and adding a new section 302, conditional use permits. And ordinance number 618, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending the city's zoning ordinance by adding a new section 311, certificate of zoning compliance. Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. And the consent agenda shouldn't take too long either, so we just as well do that. Consent agenda, the following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item number 1 is approving the renewal of an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Clarkdale, Arizona for public transportation services from Cottonwood Area Transit in Clarkdale. Item number 2 is resolution number 2817, approving a service agreement with the Mingus Union High School District Number 4 for the services of a school safety officer to be provided by the Cottonwood Police Department. Item number 3 is approval of a scope of work with CNS Engineers Incorporated for design services for the Cottonwood Airport Apron Reconstruction Project. Are there any items that a member of the council would like removed for discussion? Are there any items that a member of the public would like removed for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Mr. Dowling made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Deputy Clerk, please read resolution number 2817 by title only.
Resolution number 2817, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, approving a service agreement with the Mingus Union High School District Number 4 for the services of a school safety officer to be provided by the Cottonwood Police Department. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. New business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. Consideration of continuing the annual Thunder Valley Rally event. And we have Hezekiah Allen to speak about this item.
Madam Mayor, Council. As always, thank you for your time this evening, as well as the guests that have attended tonight's meeting. Last meeting, Council had directed staff to conduct some surveys of the area businesses, as to their feeling on Thunder Valley Rally and the future of it. So with that direction, staff concurred. Some information on the study methodology. Keep in mind, we're not social scientists, so we gave this our best whack, so to speak. Basically, what happened is that we use SurveyMonkey. We wanted to go that route, so it was objectional. Sometimes when the person delivering the survey tends to have a certain bias one way that affects the person handing out the survey. So it was done completely over email, the internet, anonymous. The Old Town Association sent out surveys for the Old Town merchants. And then the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce sent out surveys as well to all of their businesses that are registered. There was some overlap there with the Old Town merchants, but I think you'll see the results are pretty conclusive. Unit of analysis, obviously the Old Town Association or Old Town merchant businesses, citywide businesses, and residents. Response rate for Old Town merchants was 43%. Response rate for citywide businesses was 20%. Accordingly, a 15% response rate is average, so I think we met that. We'll get right down to it.
So Tim wants to interrupt you and ask
I'm sorry, if you don't mind, just a quick question. So you say the Old Town merchants, if you're not a member of the Old Town Association, you didn't get a survey then, is that correct?
I believe 86 emails were sent out through Old Town merchants.
But if you're not a member of the OTA, then did you or did you not receive a survey?
Well,
I just want to make it clear.
Everybody got one.
Okay.
Even if they're not a member.
Okay, thank you.
So question 1, did you attend or observe the local impact of Thunder Valley Rally as a business and or community member? We asked this question so we can kind of get an understanding of the people answering the questions. From the Old Town Association, 62% were both. Chamber, 63% were both. I'm sorry, 38.6 were both, and then community member was 39.7, and business was 17% for the chamber question. And then for the Old Town Association, we had 29.73% were business, 62% were both, and 8.11% were community members. Question 2, if as a business do you feel motorcyclists support local businesses? To that, with the Old Town Association, 34.29% strongly agreed. Moderately agreed was 14.29%, and agree was 14.29%. Disagree was 22.86%, and strongly was 14.29%. As far as the chamber, strongly agree was 39%, moderately agree was 13%, and agree was 32%. Disagree was 5%, and strongly disagree was 11%. But if you look at the results, you can see that they tend to lie more towards strongly agree and moderately agree. Question 3, if as a community member do you feel event attendees were respectful of our community? To this, the Old Town Association of Merchants answered 72.22% yes, they were respectful, and 27.78% answered no. For area-wide businesses, 72% answered yes. 81.8% answered yes, 10% answered no, and 7.9% didn't answer that question. Question 4, do you believe Thunder Valley Rally has a negative or positive total impact on the Verde Valley? To this, 58.33% of Old Town merchants answered positive, 19.44% answered indifferent, and 22.22% answered negative. For area-wide businesses, 64% answered positive, 22% indifferent, and 15% negative. Question 5, if you own a business in Old Town, and the reason Old Town is in parentheses because the survey that went out citywide, that in Old Town was taken out, so it pertained to everybody. Please rate on a scale of 1 to 5 if you feel the event benefited your establishment with short and long-term benefits in mind, 1 being the lowest benefit and 5 being the highest. Old Town Association merchants answered 5, 27.78%, the highest benefit. 4, 11.11%, the next lowest benefit. 16.67%, 3, the next lowest benefit. 13.89% answered 2, and lastly, 30.56% answered 1. For Old Town, or for citywide merchants, 5 was 21%, 4 was 14%, 3 was 25%, 2 9%, 1 32%. And the reason we set up the answer to this question from the survey results like that was to show the cumulative percentages. So basically, if you add 5, 4, 3 up, you kind of get a good idea. For example, if a merchant answered 5, they did really, really well that weekend. If they answered 3, we did okay. If we answered 1, it was horrible.
So, I'm sorry.
Sure, that's fine.
So on the percentage, the fourth column in, on OTC question 5. 5 is the highest
Yes.
grade that they could give, that if they own a
Highest
business.
benefit.
Okay. So that's 27.78%.
Right.
Okay. So it's fairly evenly split between those, but then 30% indicated that it was not a benefit to their business. Is that correct?
Correct. But if you look at the results, you could also say add up columns 5, 4, and 3 that all say that they were somewhat of a benefit, and notice that it outweighs the other 2. Did I answer your question, Tim? Mr. Alinsky?
I'm not clear on the last thing you said, but I don't have it in my packet, so I can't do the math on it now, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
And it does answer my question. Thanks.
Question number 6, do you believe that event attendees come back throughout the following year and into the future? To that, for the Old Town Association merchants, 36.11% strongly agree, 38.89% agree, and 25% disagreed. For for citywide businesses, 38% agreed strongly, 46% agree, and 16% disagree. Question number 7, the final question. Would you like to see Thunder Valley Rally continue? To that, 67.65% of Old Town Association merchants answered yes, and 23.53% answered 8 or no. For citywide businesses, 73.8% answered yes, 17% answered no, and there was 9% no responses. The recent Verde Independent study asked the question, should Cottonwood continue to have the annual Thunder Valley Rally event? To that, 63% answered yes, 37% answered no. Well, that's it. Entertain any questions?
Yeah, I think between the NAU study that showed the economic impact on the Verde Valley and between these polls, it seems all positive. And I wanted to comment a little bit. Since I go, and most people know I work it, I actually do the announcing, and then I go out and I talk to people. And I found it really interesting, the people I met. I met one motorcycle club that were a Christian club, and they just wanted to talk to people about their faith. I met another club that was mostly retired law enforcement people, and they raised money to eradicate drugs in their community. I met another club that I believe addressed the city council that raises money for victims of child abuse. And I could go on and on and on. I talked to many people, and I think the people that attend this event are good citizens. I think it's they have fun. I think it's a good event for Cottonwood. It advertises us. And why would we cancel an event that draws 10,000 people who act civilly and just have a good time?
I would add that we just had a motorcycle ride a couple weeks ago that brought in $1,500 to our local teen center. And these folks right here are the people that constantly go out and do good things for others. That's what they do. Any other comments on the survey?
Let me ask you a question. So on this survey, is it possible to vote more than once?
No. SurveyMonkey has a neat function where it reads your IP address on your computer, so it will only allow one computer to vote once. Verde Independent kind of has a similar function.
Okay. But if they wanted to go to a different computer, they could vote there again? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start the public comments if the council doesn't have anything else to add. And we have a Mr. Elinsky.
Thanks. Are we going to talk about the financial side of the event now, or are we going to hold that for later?
Whenever you'd like to.
How does the rest of the council feel on that?
Now's fine. Do you want to do it now?
I'd rather hear from the public right now.
So that's fine. I'll ask later.
I asked y'all if you had anything to say, so. Okay. We will have more discussion by council after the public comments. And we have a number of letters here that we're going to be putting into the public record. And then, is there someone that's a spokesperson for people tonight, or everybody's here on their own? You're a spokesperson, and what is your name? Sherry Colomar. Flumar, okay. Sherry Flumar. And as I understand it, Matt said that you had wanted me to read 4 of the letters that were sent. That was your request, so I will read those. Also, we'll have each person speak. If you wouldn't mind, I would ask that you would hold your clapping during the public comments. And the main reason is because not everybody's brave about speaking in public. So if we get really rambunctious with how we feel, then people might not feel brave enough to get up and speak. So if you just hold the applause till the end. If you'd like to clap, then that's fine. So I'll go ahead and read these letters and get that part of it completed. This is from Jessica Ballesteros, and she said, "Good afternoon. I was hoping to make it to the meeting tonight, but I have to work late and I have a sick kiddo at home, so may not make it. I wanted to send you an email just in case. I think Thunder Valley Rally is a great event. I go every year and I don't have a motorcycle. I have met amazing people every year and even new friendships have come from this event. I have been bringing my 2 small boys since it has started and they love it. They look forward to it every year. My youngest is 6 and my oldest is going to be 10. We all enjoy this event. My mom, who has been a teacher in the Verde Valley for 35 years, now retired, also loves to attend this event and has never owned a motorcycle. I was born and raised in Cottonwood, and now I'm raising my family here, and I have seen many changes, good and some that make me sad, but overall I feel very blessed to have grown up here. This has been a great yearly event in our community. I believe it has been a great experience year after year. I was also Miss TVR Pinup 2014, and as I walked around before the contest and after being crowned, I wanted to hear from the crowd and vendors to see if they were enjoying TVR. It was amazing to hear the feedback, excitement, and their experience about the event and the enthusiasm to see what each year will bring. 2014 was also the year that many were disappointed in the layout of the event. TVR brings all ages, young and old, from near and far and all walks of life. I love to see such a different, diversified crowd. I love to see and hear the laughter, music, dancing, and gorgeous bikes, and once again, wonderful people. Have a wonderful day. I'll be there in spirit if I can't make it. Vice Mayor, would you like to read one of these, please? Not tonight? Okay, so would another council member like to read? Would you like to read one? Okay. Mr. Pratt, we'll hand that down. Anybody else want to take a turn?
Are there more to hand down? I'll go.
Okay. So if each council member could read their letter, please, starting with Mr. Dowling and working down.
Okay. To whom it may concern, yes, keep the Thunder Valley Rally going. I am a Cottonwood resident for over 15 years, born in Phoenix. My father was born in Cottonwood. This is an event the whole family can share together, and it's a great time. Never have I ever been offended or upset about the roar of a motorcycle. Never have I ever been upset about the amount of newcomers to our community. Never have I ever not been waved to or had a visitor or a local biker not wave back to my children during this event. What's the problem? Keep it going. This is a wonderful event for our community next year and the years to come. Let my children continue and my grandchildren start to experience this fun event. I do not ride motorcycles, nor do I own one. However, 2 of my 5 children do ride, and they are teaching my grandchildren to ride. One of their wives rides. Granted, they aren't Harleys, but a motorcycle no less. I feel this is a vital part of our community. It brings in profit. How can it not? It brings in people from different areas of the globe. I love it. The whole town beams with pride. The concerts have been great. The vendors are great. The weekend is like a date night for everyone. Please consider the efforts and the time it takes to plan this. It is so worth it. Please keep this going for all who believe, riders and non-riders alike. Keep the Thunder Valley Rally going. Thank you, Sandra Copeland, 150 South 17th Street, Cottonwood, Arizona, 86326.
So I can keep them together. Thank you.
And this one's from Kathy Stanley, and she says, I want to first say that I usually don't get involved with council meeting. However, when I heard that there was a vote taking place to decide on the future of Thunder Valley Rally in Cottonwood, I felt moved to speak out. The ignorant mindset that Cottonwood doesn't want to be viewed as a biker town completely blows my mind. My first question would be, how long have you resided in the Verde Valley? I have lived here almost 15 years. I had family here for 10 years prior to that. I have visited frequently in those 10 years. Cottonwood and the surrounding towns have been a favorite travel destination for many people who love to ride their motorcycles. The weather is ideal for a weekend trip, and the proximity to Phoenix makes the Verde Valley a perfect day trip. My second question, do you have any clue how much money bikers alone bring into our town on any given weekend, let alone the revenue brought in by this biker event? If the biker community is virtually kicked out due to an ignorant stereotype, the community will lose out on most of the money, if not all of the money, brought here by people who love to ride motorcycles. Do you honestly not realize that there are other routes up to the Prescott-Flagstaff areas? If this vote passes, word will quickly spread through the biker community, and our town will be boycotted, and the revenue brought in by these guests in our town will be lost for good. My third question, where do you get your assessment of who a biker is from the 1970s? Question mark. Sure, there are still biker gangs in our country. I don't doubt that some of these gangs are up to no good. However, most of the biker groups are just that, groups of people who love to ride. Many of these groups are made up of individuals that are successful in their careers and lifestyles. It's a great way to get out of that stuffy suit and tie for a few days and just relax and take in our beautiful country. I would like to add an important fact about myself. I do not own a motorcycle, and I haven't even been on the back of a motorcycle in over 25 years. However, owning a motorcycle and having the chance to tour the country on a motorcycle someday is a huge dream that my husband and I share. Word of this vote surprised me and quite frankly disgusted me. We are not living on the set of the 1970s version of Mad Max. I don't have statistics to refer to, although as a longtime resident of Cottonwood, I would state that the presence of the known criminal gangs in our town are way more frightening and destructive than any news of the outcome of a biker event in Cottonwood. Some of the best organized events that bikers are involved in my opinion, would include the Toys for Tots Run and the Turkey Run. Just a few more ways the biker community have helped out our small town community. These are the events that I believe best reflect the hearts and motives of the bikers who reside or simply make a weekend visit of our town. Banning this or any of our biker events would be a complete embarrassment to our community. A small town like ours would suffer greatly if we were to make an incredibly loud statement that a biker's presence and money are not welcome here. I am very interested in the outcome of this council meeting, as I see it would be a bad move on our town's part. Please don't vote to get rid of Thunder Valley Rally and embarrass our community with such ignorant thinking. Kathy Stanley.
And Mr. Pratt?
This letter is from Jody Bird Delbridge. Motorcyclists are not the type of crowd they want in their community? Wow. I wish I could be there to publicly ask each one of them if they have been involved in raising any type of funding for the less fortunate in the past year, or how much money each one of them have contributed to charitable organizations, as bikers consistently do. I wonder if they would change their tune if they found out how many of us are well-educated professionals who probably paid more for one Harley than they earn in a whole year. The biker crowd that travels to Cottonwood each year has never created or ever been involved in any kind of violence or destruction of property that I know of since this event began, and each one of us patronize many of Cottonwood's small business owners every day we spend there. With all the violence and negativity in this world, I find it truly sad that anybody would choose to end such a great gathering of friendly, happy people because we are a little loud or stay out on the streets after dark. Since attending the rally for several years, my husband and I had seriously considered building a second home in Cottonwood. However, now we will rethink that. I don't think we would enjoy spending our summer months in a community with a faction of people who openly judge others by their looks and the ridiculous ancient stories that are perpetuated by the uninformed. Each year, my friends and I have attended the rally. We have met wonderfully welcoming residents in Cottonwood. We have always been treated well and always looked forward to spending time in such a friendly community. I had no idea there was an underlying current of resentment and dislike for a diverse group of nice people whose only crimes are dressing in leather and riding a motorcycle. I do realize that Cottonwood does have supporters of this event. People who actually live by, love thy neighbor, and judge not, lest you be judged. To these people, I say thank you. Thank you for treating our group of people the way we all should be treated, not looking down upon us or treating us with self-righteous indignation and narrow-minded stereotyping that only suggests to me they are still living in the 1950s. I truly hope that the decent, unpuckered group of people who support the rally are victorious. I think the majority of the residents of Cottonwood are welcoming, open-minded people whom we enjoy spending time with each year, and I earnestly hope we will have a chance to attend another year of the rally in 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. I can tell you're a teacher of English. Okay. So now we'll hear from our members of the public, and Mr. Matt McLean will time us so that we can keep our timing and keep moving forward. Okay, so the first speaker will be Ari Levenbaum.
Good evening. My name is Ari Levenbaum, and I'm the owner and vice president of marketing for the Law Tigers, America's Motorcycle Lawyers. I want to thank you for giving me this time to explain our position, and again, thank you. We have participated in the Thunder Valley Rally for the past 12 years and sponsored the event for 8 of them. As a result of the event's success and professionalism of its representatives, we have significantly increased our involvement and investment as a major sponsor for the 3 most recent years. I have been impressed with every aspect of the event, including how well the staff and community has embraced and accommodated us. We are committed to continue our involvement as a major sponsor for many years to come. Based on my review of the economic impact study and my experience attending events for the past few years, I want to commend the city and the community. As someone with considerable experience planning and participating in hundreds of local and national events, motorcycle events that is, I can say without reservation this is a successful event that needs to continue. I have also spoke to numerous riders who have participated in this event, and every individual with whom I've spoke had nothing but positive comments about the event. In fact, many call it a mini Sturgis that's a little less expensive. I am committed to continuing our long-term support and promotion of Thunder Valley Rally. We assess every event in which we participate and only sponsor those that meet our high standards. I have a credible and well-established brand to protect, and am proud to align with Cottonwood and Thunder Valley Rally. This is a unique and worthwhile event, and I would strongly advise the board to allow the Thunder Valley Rally to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Edna Ahrens.
Thank you. As a resident of Cottonwood, since I've moved here, I have been going to the Thunder Valley Rally and absolutely love interacting with the individuals. And to me, it would be a shame for such a thing to be canceled or to not continue when it has brought in so much revenue in this community. I know there were no motels available. The park was all packed. The fairgrounds, people were camping. I just think it would be a shame. I love looking at the motorcycles. I haven't ridden since the 60s. I used to ride in California and down in the valley. But I had relatives from way up north that came down specifically for this event to see it. And I just think as a citizen we would do would just be wrong. The other thing I wanted to comment about, a couple of years ago when we brought in the veterans wall, the Vietnam Wall veterans, I got to follow the whole group into town, and I was just amazed at the number of the motorcyclists that turned out for that event and supported it. And so as a citizen, I just hate to see this discontinued.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Mike Kilpatrick?
Thank you. I'm Mike Kilpatrick, owner of Verde Valley Olive Oil Traders in Old Town Cottonwood. And I'm really not opposed to the Thunder Valley Rally. I just would like to see it moved out of Old Town. There's a lot of really intelligent people that have been planning this and are willing to plan it again for next year. And I think if they got together, there'd be a way to find out to make it great for the vendors, great for the community, great from people from outside the area. But as a business owner, have a little respect for me and give me my weekend back. This event is absolutely devastating to me from a retail standpoint. I listened to those letters carefully. I really wish I would have seen those people come in my store. We do very, very low sales numbers on those days. What we've had to do the last couple years is monitor the people who are smoking cigarettes in front of our door. We ask them to stand more than 10 feet away, and they just stare you down. Like, who in the heck are you to tell me I can't smoke on this street? We explain about our business, and it's olive oil, and it's tasting. We actually had a number of people come in our store, ask if we have restrooms. We say, I'm sorry, they're for customers. They say, well, we'll buy something. So they go and they use our bathrooms, dirty it all up, and then they come out. They say, well, we changed our mind. We don't want to buy anything. So that's the impact that we see as a business owner. The other thing is the financial part of it. If, in fact, the city spent $86,000 of their budget money, I'd like to see that money spent in other ways that could generate that same $1.6 million in tourist revenue, maybe not in one weekend, but over the course of a year. And I have some ideas on that could be done. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Jerry Scott?
Good evening. My name is Jerry Scott, Madam Mayor, esteemed councilman, and the rest of us here. I'm here to really speak on behalf of the Thunder Valley Rally. I have been a participant. Not that I ride a motorcycle, but I have been a participant with the community. I am a member of this community. I do believe that this is a great event and a great function for us. Bringing in the concerts and the bands and everything else, as well as, yes, I do see the revenue. I work in a local merchant's place. Our sales are, on average, about the same as anybody else's who is open during the day. So if you're not an art gallery or something like that, I can understand where there's issues. I would like to address Mr. Elsinski's concern with the safety issue. This is something that I find, I do share a concern that we had a violent interaction, well, not necessarily a violent interaction, but an interaction that could have been a violent one. However, I do believe that that could have happened on any other occasion as well. It doesn't matter that, unfortunately, it was this particular weekend. It could have happened at any other time, at any other location. With that being said, in general, I find that the crowd that comes for this, whether it is our bikers, whether it is our general public, our non-riders and our riders, it's a good time. It's a friendly event. It is even family friendly. My son, who's 15, enjoyed his very first concert, and he enjoyed it with a group of bikers that didn't even know my kid, and were willing to, cheer him on, move out of the way, and push him forward so he could get a better look at the H.L.E. George Thorogood. So it's something that if we have somebody else like Jessie Ballesteros stating that her young children are enjoying it, my 15-year-old is enjoying it, plus I know a few 90-year-olds that were there and actually enjoyed it. I think it is something for members of all ages. And again, it is a community event. I know some people may not like it. I know some merchants are not happy with it because of the limitations that are on them. But I also am aware that there are a lot of other merchants and a lot of other community members that benefit from this. I personally would like to see this continue. I would like to benefit from it. I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Dennis Pasks, and please correct me because I couldn't quite. Parks? Parks. Okay, that R is kind of jagged there. Okay, Parks
What can I
makes
say?
sense.
I still shake from riding motorcycles.
Okay.
I've attended a lot of events up here, and I've lived here now for 15 years, and I've tried to be involved in a lot of the events through Rhythm and Ribs, the Chocolate Walk, all the different things. And this event here by far draws the most people of any of them. And people talk about some of their businesses are down that day. I own a motorcycle dealership. My business that weekend absolutely sucks. But you know what? I've done $3 million worth of business through the year from people from out of town because they've been up here, find out we're here, like the area, they come back. And that's when we can see them. That weekend, we got everybody working at the rally. There's hardly anybody at the store. We help everybody best we can. But we're not looking to sell anything that weekend. It ain't going to happen. We don't have the manpower to deal with it. So we'll set up appointments for them to come back later, that type of thing. And a lot of the businesses down in Old Town, I'm always shocked that they don't participate more because they could bring in more money. But in talking to them and trying to give them ideas and things to do, they go, no, we don't want to do anything different. We're satisfied with what we got. We don't need any more business. And a lot of them, I understand, they're semi-retired, they're kind of doing this part-time, they don't really want to work all day long at it. So I understand that. But that shouldn't be held against the other people that are working and are trying to do things and changing things around because the rally's here. I get different trucks and trailers lined up. We're not in the towing business, but that weekend we'll go pick up broke down people and bring them back to get them going again because they call us and they're on 17 with a flat tire or they're up on Mingus Mountain. We'll go get them. We don't charge them anything. We just try to get them to the rally. We had a gentleman this year lost his key riding a Honda. I don't sell Hondas. We made a dozen phone calls for him, trying to find a locksmith. We sent a truck and trailer to pick up the motorcycle and brought it back to our store. We arranged for his son to bring up his spare key on Monday, which we're closed. We went down there and waited for him. He showed up with the key. We got his dad's bike out, and Dad was able to take it home. We're just trying to get people to come to the area to find out how good it is. And to feel like these are people that just put on leathers, act tough for the weekend, that's hogwash. A lot of these people are doctors, lawyers, business owners. Their average income is $80,000. These aren't people that are just trying to act tough for the weekend. They're trying to get away for the weekend to relax and enjoy themselves. I sold a motorcycle to a gentleman one time. His wife was totally against it, but he bought it. He was a doctor. A week later, she came in and thanked me for selling him that bike because now he can get away, relax, not think about it because he's concentrated on riding. He gets away. He said he's like a new person when he gets home. And she thanked us for doing that. That's all I got to say.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Sherry, Flammable.
So my name is Sherry. I'm a business owner in Phoenix, and I came up today because not to talk about necessarily the rally, but to change a view on what bikers are. So I wanted to thank the young man that talked about freedom, because freedom is why that I stand here today. I'm going to tell you about a soldier named Bo. He's in the U.S. Army. He missed the birth of his second child because he was serving overseas. He's a homeowner, and he's not here tonight because the military chooses when you get a day off. A 24-year-old soldier named Giles, he graduated with a degree in business marketing right here in the state of Arizona at ASU. He's an officer in the Army. He'll leave his wife and his family in January to be gone for over a year to become a Blackhawks helicopter pilot. He's a homeowner, and he can't be here tonight because he's serving his 2 weeks of military training. There's a man in this room that I'm going to embarrass. He's a homeowner. He's a father-in-law of the first soldier that I mentioned. He's a father of the officer that I told you about. Today marks his first day as a civilian. He spent over 30 years in the military. And I'm going to ask him to stand up for a moment and remain standing. Please? Yes, please. The men that I told you about are not just soldiers. The men that I've told you about today are not just soldiers. They're bikers. I'm a biker. They're educated people that serve our country. I'd like to ask that any of my biker friends that are here today that have served in the military to please stand and remain standing. I'd like to ask that any of my biker friends that serve in the police department, the fire department, any public service to please stand and remain standing. Anyone that serves as a medical professional or has ever ridden your bike to support someone who is less fortunate than you, please stand. These are bikers. These are motorcyclists. These are not gang members. These are the people that are in your community that run businesses and that help out your community and the children and the families in your community. I'm just asking you to look at these people and see who they are. They are not just people that run around in leather and ride around on bikes. They are the people in your community that help you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know I broke my own rule by clapping, but how could you not clap for veterans and people who serve others? So thank you very much. Okay, Rose Ortiz.
Good evening. My name is Rose Ortiz. I live here in Cottonwood. I am a committee member for TBR. It was an extraordinary experience. You already know that the committee worked hard with city departments to address and improve concerns from previous years while building relationships with sponsors, the businesses of Old Town, and the public. You also know that the event was the most successful to date. I would like to start by addressing a couple of the points made in argument against this event, stressing the great impact words in a negative context can have on another's perception. Specifically, weapons. It was in the paper that a bucket full of knives were collected by security at one bar. When you think of this scenario, you might have a picture in your mind that looks something like this. This was not the case. How do I know? I was one of them. I had in my possession a small pocket knife I carry every day and use throughout the event, along with markers, tape, and some zip ties. Came in very handy. When I retrieved my knife after visiting the bar with friends, I noticed that my little pocket knife was one of the largest ones except for a Leatherman type tool. I brought a picture of it next to a ruler and left the actual knife at home for fear of what the headlines would say today or tomorrow if I brought a knife to the council meeting. As you can see, it is less than 4 inches in length, and in most cases a handy tool, not a weapon. I was at this event in excess of 30 hours over the weekend and did not witness any behavior I could label as obnoxious or troublesome or even tough. What I saw were smiles, friends, many laughs, and a public promising to come back next year with more people in tow. This event has been called not family friendly. Is this because of the alcohol served or the appearance of those attending? If alcohol is the case, then Tilted Earth, the Verde Valley Fair, Walking on Main, and many other events should all be considered non-family friendly events. I would like to mention that I was a volunteer at one of the festivals earlier in the year. And although I like this event very much, I love the location of Riverfront Park, I witnessed many intoxicated individuals early in the evening. Among those, I saw at least 2 people being held up in order to walk to their vehicle. They weren't driving. But another one I witnessed actually vomiting. Very classy. I have witnessed more fights at the local fair than at any biker event I've ever attended. One year, when my children were very little, their Halloween candy was stolen. I did not blame this on the holiday or become prejudiced against anyone in a princess costume. Just kidding. But reserved my judgment for the 3 individuals who were responsible. The city allocated a budget for this event. I want to remind you that this event came in $17,000 under that budget. As a committee, it is our goal to improve on the cost to the city and to improve on the event as a whole. If security is something that needs improvement, we will address that issue in planning for next year. I think that there should be an emergency plan in place for all public events. This may or may not need to include a drill for personnel and first responders. The funds raised for the Military Service Park and other groups was $26,652. This is outstanding. There is no other group that comes to mind that has more fundraising events than the bikers, locally or nationwide. This is commendable, not condemnable. I can think of no one, and I mean no one, who loves and supports our veterans more than our biker community. In closing, I will say that I have always refrained from putting labels on myself for fear of limiting my interest and vast possibilities for accomplishments. Standing before you, what label will you give me this evening? Here are some choices. I am a mother. I am a citizen of this city. I am a real estate professional. I am a trainer for the Yavapai County Sheriff's Search Dog Unit, and I am a biker. Thank you.
Christopher Robin and Becca Riefel. And thanks, Rose. We appreciate your comments.
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, thank you very much for your time. I just want to preface that, yes, I'm a biker, and I'm representing Becca's, the Riffles, Don and Eileen, and our business Mainstage, and all of its employees who make their livelihood at our place of business. Anything that I'm about to say has nothing to do with my opinions. My opinions about things don't matter. All we can speak about is my experiences. And my experiences for that weekend, and I'm sorry we weren't a part of the survey because we never got the email. We're 20 feet away from the Old Town line, so we get forgotten sometimes. And our experiences was that was one of our best weekends we've had in years. And a weekend where for the first time, I didn't have to throw anybody out. In October, I had to, in a 9-day period, I had to 86 for life 6 of our local people. The people that were arrested during the rally were all local people. And I'm sorry to say, Tim, but they're 100 feet from your house, whether you're there on the weekend or not, every normal weekend. And we work very hard at making Mainstage as safe as possible, and we have a very long local 86 list. And there wasn't a single biker on that list, and there wasn't a single issue throughout the whole weekend. Becca and I rode my motorcycle down to the rally. I participated in the rally. Not only were Becca and I on the council helping to plan it, but my band, the Christopher Robin Band, also performed on Saturday. And there was nothing but great cheer, camaraderie, and a good time. And it's so what really needs to be addressed is what you guys are going to get to later on, is how to run this better, not whether it should be taken out, because it's been majorly beneficial for us keeping our doors open. And I can't stress enough that even the most feared group that represent were probably the nicest guys that I dealt with the entire weekend, who were had a booth down at the rally. And I think we all know who I'm talking about. And so I've got nothing bad to say. I know Becca doesn't. It was a very positive experience for us. And we're really glad that, the city included us more this time so we could actually bring people out of Old Town and spread it out to other businesses. And if we continue to do that, since this is a city council, not an Old Town council, I think that's really going to help things out in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Kathy Hemrich.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I would just like the council to know that I moved here permanently 2 years ago from a small community town in Illinois, 60 miles west of Chicago. Our support and the motorcycle groups there gave 110% at every opportunity that they could. Moving here and not knowing anyone, I became involved in MMA, and I have seen great support, not just with MMA, but other motorcycle organizations in supporting this community. We have given for toys for the children in this area. We have given food donations to the people in this community. And I find it devastating that you would even consider eliminating such an important event in this community. I am self-employed. I do marketing and for some very large corporations and advertising, and I have never seen a community come together as the motorcycle community in this area. I didn't like the fact that I was labeled as that type of person, and as everyone here has said tonight, I don't think you can label a motorcycle group as far as them being on a rampage or not respectful of your community. I have seen respect completely for the village of Cottonwood and respect for the businesses. As far as the businesses not making money, again, I have to say, I think they have to reach out and find a way to support their business and bring it to the motorcycle group, whether it be getting a booth and introducing them to their services that they offer. But I strongly urge that you do not eliminate the Thunder Valley Rally. I think it's a family environment. I can't see where there are any situations that put a danger to anyone. And I think the support that you're getting from everyone in the motorcycle family is very strong. So I do hope you continue with having the Thunder Valley Rally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Alan Marks.
Madam Mayor and Council, as you guys know, I do a lot of fundraising. My wife does a lot of fundraising here in town. And over the last couple of years, the group that isn't good for Cottonwood has donated over $2,500 to the Teen Center, has donated over $3,000 to 2 people with cancer, and has donated over $1,000 worth of toys to the community just in that time. A lot of those people that we get up here are from the Thunder Valley Rally. We go out there and we hand out flyers, and they come back to town. And when they come back to town, they spend money. They spend the weekend. Madam Mayor, you were at the toy run. You've seen how many bikers we have out there. These people don't have to give up their weekends to do that. You know, if you need something fundraised, turn to the biker community because that's where it's at. You know, this cliche of, you know, we're bad people. Look at us. Spend some time with us. Don't sit in your house. Don't sit behind a desk and say, they're bad people. Come out and visit us for a little bit. Talk to us. You'll get to know us. Please think about that and save the rally.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Mitch Levy?
Mayor, Council, thank you for giving me time to talk to you. I want to address a couple of statements we made as far as, Tim, you came down to my business the night after the last meeting, and we talked, and you apologized for the way things came off. You didn't mean it to come that way. And you told me that you were elected by the people and you were going to represent the people, that if the majority of the polls came out that they wanted to rally, you would vote for that way. And I expect you to be a man of your word. The polls came out 63% against 37%. If you go to the other and you go even from agree to above, do the motorcycles support the business, who's 84% for to 16% against? Was the people respectful? It was 81.8% for, 7.9% against. Do you believe the rally has a positive? It was 64% for, 22 indifferent, and 15% negative. The benefit, 67% was for, 33% didn't benefit. And as far as do you think they come back throughout the year, the aggregate number was 84% for, 16% against. A lot of people have come up here and talked about the biker community. I'm going to give you a little bit of my background. I've been volunteering since I've been 13 years old on an ambulance, fire department, heavy rescue, search and rescue, rescue recovery. I'm a disabled veteran. I'm a retired paramedic. I own a business in Cottonwood, and I was drawn to Cottonwood because of the uniqueness. Look at all the different events that we have throughout the year. We have the VIP Chocolate Walk. We have the Chocolate Walk, the Christmas Parade. We have Walking on Main. We have Thunder Valley Rally. We have Tilted Earth. What other community in Arizona or anywhere can say they have, we have the Pride Festival. Has this diverse group of people that come to our community and spend money, and to label somebody because they wear leathers to be tough? We wear leathers because if we go down, it protects us. I have a friend who went down not long ago, got really messed up, but his leathers protected his body. Yeah, it costs money to put on the rally. Every year we'll dial it in. We have a committee that loves what we're doing. As a business owner, even though I'm on Main Street right by the stage, I lose money that weekend. But I get people coming back throughout the entire year that spend money, that like the rally. I've never had any issues with anybody. We've had issues with more locals than I have bikers. Biker community is the most giving community of people that I've met anywhere. I've met the love of my wife, because I ride, she rides. So, we have turkey rides, toy rides. People get hurt. I mean, the list goes on and on what bikers do for communities once they get involved. Once people realize there's this asset there and they reach out, they get rewarded over and over. And we do it because we care and because we're business people, we're citizens, and we're not, forget the 1%ers. They're 1%. We're the other part that care about where we live. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Sure. Yes.
Ask me a question. So as far as a man of my word, I'm definitely a man of my word, and I appreciate that we could take the time after the last meeting to talk to one another. I was elected to represent my constituents, which I'll do. That's my word. Now, what I meant, will I respect the majority? Absolutely, I will, and that's what's going to happen here tonight is a democratic process. I'll certainly respect the majority vote tonight, but I still have my constituents to represent. That's what I meant.
Well, you told me that if the polls came back and the majority showed, as far as all the polls, the citizens who elected you, and those were the words that you said, that if the polls came back that the majority wanted the rally, you would vote for the rally. So now we're going to just see where it's all at.
Okay, thank you for your comments. So we have three more folks that want to talk, but I would welcome you to sign a form if More of you want to talk? We're here to listen tonight. So the next one is Trevor Gottschalk.
Hello, my name is Trevor Gottschalk, and I just want to start by disclosing that I do currently sit on the Parks and Rec Commission, but I'm here today as a citizen not representing the commission in any way. As I said, my name is Trevor Gottschalk, and I own Old Town Frame Company located on Main Street in Old Town. I also live in Old Town, just a few blocks from Main Street, and I'm here to voice my opposition to Thunder Valley Rally as a business owner as well as an Old Town resident and community member. Firstly, there's no question for my business, TVR is a detriment. It is not often that I take in $0 in revenue, but that is what I took in on Friday of TVR. Saturday was perhaps average in retail sales, but I did not have any custom framing work come in, which is the foundation of my business. Furthermore, out of the 10,000 people that allegedly came to the event, we had roughly 50 people even come through our door over the 2 days. So the exposure was very minimal, and the inventory I did buy specifically for TVR was not even seen, let alone purchased. The event prevents access to regular tourists as well as my regular customers, who, as they relayed to me, avoid Old Town during the event. Sales aside, I do not feel the event fits in with what we have in Old Town or what we are trying to build in Old Town, and I find it unfortunate that the city has latched onto this event. When you compare this event to last month's Walkin' on Main and Historic Home Tour, there is no contest. It was a great family-friendly event that encourages our locals to get out and explore our businesses and participate in our community. I would much rather see the effort and resources go to that type of event, which builds business and community, as opposed to a big party for a select group of people. I also want to talk about how Cottonwood is participating in the National Geographic Geotourism Program and was selected as a geotourism site. I think this is something that we should be proud of as a city, as the purpose of the program is to promote, quote, tourism that sustains or enhances the geographic character of a place, its environment, culture, aesthetics, heritage, and the well-being of its residents. I feel that Thunder Valley Rally works in opposition to these goals. It forces us to change our character and aesthetics, it ignores our heritage and culture, and puts the environment at risk. Again, I'm speaking not about bikers, only as my experience with TVR. I did provide to the council some photographs of Main Street that I took Saturday morning down near the stage and bathroom area. The pictures show large amounts of trash, beer and wine cups, straws, zip ties, wine bottles that were just thrown on the ground during the concert the night before. I know the city hired people to pick up the trash by the beginning of the event Saturday morning, but that doesn't change the fact that this is what happens to our street during this event. I personally picked up a couple bags of trash on Yavapai Street, including a half-full champagne bottle, and a bag of trash on Cactus Street, including a full Budweiser that was literally rolling down the street. The question to me is why we are financing a party for people who do not seem to respect our street and all that we are working so hard on to take the next level. In the end, I'm not saying bikers are not welcome in Old Town. Please come and enjoy our diverse collection of shops, bars, restaurants. I just don't think my business or the city can afford to put on this event. In the end, I feel Old Town is not an appropriate setting for Thunder Valley Rally, and the supposed economic benefit does not justify the means. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. The next commenter is Kyle Rose.
Hi, my name is Kyle Rose. I'm the owner of Grand Canyon Harley-Davidson, local dealer, Flagstaff, Mare, Sedona, and Prescott. And like Dennis, we put on this event, and I'm also part of the committee. I'm also part of the committee for the Thunder Valley Rally. Like Dennis, as a motorcycle dealer, all of our staff are here. We use a huge amount of resources, money, time, staffing, and we do all this outreach as well as marketing. My whole database for everybody that's involved with my dealership goes out on this marketing deal. And personally invited many people to come up. They did come up. They've also have stated they've been up here multiple times since then because of the feel, the experience that they had. They wanted to come back. They wanted to join the wineries. They wanted to take a weekend here. They wanted to go to the tavern. And they've come back. So there's another value of just having that one weekend. They do keep coming back. They do keep spending. The average biker, as you want to call it, or the Harley-Davidson demographic of the owner is a white male, 53 years old, income $80,000 a year. It's not, again, it's diverse. It's blue collar, it's white collar, it's business owners, it's doctors, it's every which way. The economic impact to the businesses. I mean, the study that came from NAU, that's huge. Granted, it wasn't all just this area. Granted, it had some feelers over in Clarkdale. I had some in Jerome. I had Camp Verde. But the hotels, the businesses, that's huge. I mean, what event? I look at it as a business standpoint. The ROI and what the return is, wow, I wish I could do that all day long. I don't have those people coming in my shop as much. I'm doing an outreach to the city. I'm working in a partnership with Hezekiah. I'm working in a partnership with the city trying to make this work. Title sponsor, Law Tigers, big title sponsor. I mean, we're all trying to make this effort work. My time, their time, everybody that's involved in this committee, volunteers. It's a lot of work. And to feel like it's not growing anywhere, it's been here for years, and now it's an issue. I mean, is it getting to a point where it's growing and it's just starting to get over the edge? Or what? And then the other side of that is, if we are going to be involved with it and we are going to continue on, are we going to have this discussion again, over and over and over? You know, that's a big concern. And as a sponsor and investor in this whole deal, I got to look at it that way too. You know, where are we going to go with this? And in my opinion, as a business owner, if you're not growing it, it's dying. So that's not what we're in it for. You know, everybody said what they had to say, and I can't repeat that. I mean, they've all hit every point of what really goes along with it. So I'm kind of flying off my notes. You know, I don't know, the community likes it, the locals like it. I don't know, it's just to me, it's a moot point. I think it's just a matter of a vote and go. And we should continue it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate them. Jesse Walters?
Madam Mayor, the council, I'd like to introduce myself. I was born and raised in Cottonwood, Arizona, on Main Street. I own a home on Main Street, and I absolutely love the TVR. We look forward to it every year. We invite people throughout the entire nation to join us, and I feel that it is a good representation of a family event. I've seen newborns at TVR. I've seen 90-year-olds at TVR. I know most of them. They're my neighbors. I am a biker, I guess. I've worked for 8 different governors. I've worked right alongside Ms. Jones in the DES office. And I want to say that you cannot put labels on people just because of the way they look or what they want to do on their weekends. But this is a good event. I support it. All my neighbors support it. And I do want to give an extra shout out to the men in blue, black, and brown, our police officers and our deputies and our rangers. We saw hardly any issues that needed to be addressed, and when they were, they handled it supremely. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate them. Next up is Pastor Joe Dugan.
Madam Mayor, City Council, thank you for keeping your ears open for this. First off, I want to say I know some things were said, some things have been corrected. I want you to take a look at me. What part of Element do you not want me in your city? I'm representative of one of many facets of the biker community. We were blessed to be able to have a booth out at Thunder Valley Rally. We got to interact with a lot of people from a lot of different lifestyles, doctors, lawyers, police, outlaws, you name it. Those guys that will not be named were right across us in the back way there, and I'll tell you what, they were some of the most well-behaved fellas that were there. In fact, we ended up helping set their booth up for them because they ended up breaking one of their easy ups. The point being is This is an opportunity to be labeled a biker-friendly city. It always has been. I used to be a Camp Verde resident, and I used to work here in Cottonwood at the Humane Society. And I'll tell you what, the fact that it's been in question about bikers being welcome here is rather disconcerting to me. Especially when, as many years as I've been coming down here, I live in Dewey, but I come down for the Verde Valley Toy Run. I'm one of those veterans that helped bring the wall in. We've got so many people in here from so many walks of life. I mean, I'm looking at fellas right there I ride with that are former police officers, firefighters, business owners. These are the same people that if we weren't riding around, you wouldn't be able to tell most of the time unless you really looked. But we still go in there to your businesses after TVR. I like to come on down here, spend a day down here, hit a couple of the local restaurants, go over, hang out at the main stage, talk to people. Yeah, I don't drink, but I'll hang out someplace just so I can meet people. And I'll tell you what, Cottonwood has some of the best residents I've ever run into. You know, we're representative of every facet of your community and your constituents. So please keep that in mind. We're not all bad. I mean, yeah, some people were talking about the other guys. Well, I represent heaven's angels. And I represent every brother and sister sitting out here right now, whether we believe in faith or not. We all believe we'd like to get on a bike and ride, and some of the best riding's right here in Cottonwood. Put it on the biker map. Just make sure that things are managed right. And I see, you know, this was the best TVR this year, hands down. And I think it can only be better from there, but we need your support and we need to keep this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Alyssa Williams.
Hi, I'm representing the Wild Rose Tea Shop. We're a business in Old Town. We're located directly behind where the stage is most years. So we're blocked most of Thunder Valley Rally and don't receive quite as much business. Most of the time, the city has been very great and has helped us to get our name out there more so that we don't just lose business. So for the financial part of Thunder Valley Rally, while we don't see immediate income, we do see it over time when we have those bikers coming in again and again. And this year, we set up a booth by the stage, a small stand to sell our lemonade and tea. And we were out there until well past when George Thorogood started playing. My friend and I were working it, and we had multiple people knock into us, but they were all locals. And every time someone would knock into me, a biker would help me up and say, "Are you okay?" So, while I understand that they can have a bad image and it doesn't always help every merchant immediately, I think the event has been good for our town as a whole.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Larry Kemmel. Maybe? You can correct me, I'm sure you'll need to.
Madam Mayor, council members, I'm Pastor Larry Kimmel.
Pastor.
No problem.
All right.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak before you, and also to remind you that being a democratic society, majority rules. And let you know, I am a biker. I'm also a pastor. I'm also a retired civil service government employee, biomedical engineering. I also served 14 years in the Army and 4 in the Navy. Added those years to my retirement. I'm 100% disabled, Vietnam veteran. I have served with Special Ops in the Middle East. I am here to tell you, please do not take this opportunity away from someone like me and my brother Pastor Joe Dugan to be able to talk to those who want something different in their life. This is a great opportunity for my field mission is out there. And it's great to be able to come to Cottonwood, walk your town, and have people come up to me, introduce themselves, and say they would like to have a little talk, a little counsel. And I'm more than willing to do that for these people. Some are residents, some are bikers. But that's what I do. That's what I'm here for. And I do want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to do this with Thunder Valley Rally. And on Sundays, people walk up and want, just strangers, want to sit in and have church. That's a great opportunity. So, once again, I want to thank everybody, all my brothers and sisters that are here, and to let you know, this is a great thing that you've got going here. Don't blow it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Teresa, last name starts, I think, with an S, and I'll let you pronounce it.
Hello. My name is Teresa Eisensimmer. Sorry, I get a little nervous in front of crowds. I'm a nurse here at the hospital. Moved here 2 years ago after the rally. My husband, we came down, we said, oh my gosh, what a great community. How supportive, how wonderful. So we moved here. We built a home. I work here. He works up in Flagstaff, drives every day back and forth, but we go to the shops. We've bought the oil at the oil traders. We brought our friends and family to buy oil. We've gone to every restaurant in town. We drank a lot of wine. We have supported every place. We bring our friends, we bring our family. I think there is an economic impact long-term for us to have this rally in our town. And I think, hope you support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Larry Cohen, who is the president of the Old Town Association. Would you like to be called Lawrence? Lawrence Cohen. All right.
Madam Mayor, council members, I'm up here as two people, I guess. One is a merchant in Old Town. I have Larry's Antiques, which is right in Old Town. And again, I am the president of the Old Town Association. As a merchant in Old Town, I do think that the Thunder Valley Rally benefits us. I'm another one of those merchants that does not make as much money the day of the events, the 2 days of the events that I would normally make. But for me, I'm a 365-day merchant down there, and it does help my business throughout the rest of the year. For me, as far as a merchant and also with the Old Town Association, I think the important thing is the exposure that the city gets, that Old Town gets from events like this, and from the money we make off these events. The Old Town Association, as has been seen, made $12,500 off the event. What we do with that money, the majority of that money, we work with the CEDC, the city, the chamber, and we use that money for advertising. We use that in conjunction with the office of, it's the Arizona Office of Tourism. What they do is not only give us beneficial rates on advertising, they match funds for what we do advertising. So when we look at that $12,500, we get advertising in excess of $25,000 that we use that money for. That's advertising that goes throughout the state of Arizona, nationally and local advertising. And again, as a merchant, I've heard and I've seen what this Old Town was like 10, 15 years ago and what the difference is today. And that's from, again, exposure, it's from advertising, it's from having good merchants in Old Town. And these are the kind of things that are going to grow our Old Town and grow our city. When people say, well, why not use that money in another event? My attitude is to not only have this event, but to have more events. I moved here from Key West, Florida. Key West, Florida has multiple events every month. Those events not only help the tax base of the city, they keep the hotels full, they keep the restaurants full, they keep the merchants making money throughout the year. So events like this, other events, anything we can do to get that exposure out there, get people to know about Cottonwood, come to Cottonwood, spend their money in Cottonwood, I think is beneficial for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Todd Carter.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I want to thank you for this opportunity. And first off, let me say I'm flying off the cuff. I had not planned on saying anything tonight. You've heard pros, cons, everything describing bikers. The one thing that we haven't mentioned is that there is a group of bikers out there called the Harley Owners Group, affectionately known as HOG. This group is several million strong throughout the nation, and they are responsible for fundraising things, everything from toy runs to food drives to, you name it. If it's a fundraiser, HOG is involved in it, and I'm proud to say that I am a member of that. Just recently, the dealership and the HOG chapter came together in Prescott Valley, Mayor, and raised 1,020 pounds of turkeys, 575 pounds of canned and processed foods, and $770 for the Yavapai Food Bank, because the Yavapai Food Bank was not receiving everything that they would normally receive from St. Mary's. So we turned around and we stood up for the community, for the food bank, and most of all for the bikers in the community, because they do this kind of work. Every day you can find an example of this. We had a booth, as you can see, I wear a patch called Black Sheep Harley Davidson's for Christ. I'm the president of the Grand Canyon chapter in Prescott. We had a booth at Cottonwood this year at the TVR. We paid the fee to have that booth. We did not ask for anything in return except for the opportunity to meet people, talk to people, and bring a new life to them if they're willing to listen to it. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I just encourage you to remember that this is a community that supports you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate those comments. And Lana Tollison, please.
Mayor, City Council, I'm Lana Tollison, President and CEO of the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. After the last City Council meeting, speaking with Hezekiah and asked if we could poll the Chamber members. So I came tonight prepared to talk about the Chamber survey, and Hezekiah had included those numbers. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate what the poll from our Chamber members. We had 91 responses, which is about 20% response rate. We had people responding that had business all around Cottonwood and Old Town. We had some from Camp Verde and also some from Clarkdale. So it was kind of a good mixture, not only Cottonwood, but Verde Valley wide. And we asked them all those questions, and one of them, do you feel motorcyclists support local businesses? And looking at the numbers, 82% either agreed or strongly agreed. So that's what our chamber members said. Do you feel that the attendees were respectful of our community? And 81% said that they felt that they were respectful of the community. And do you feel Thunder Valley Rally had a positive or negative total impact on the Verde Valley? 63% said positive, 14% said negative, 21% were indifferent, which we saw that, to some degree. There were strong people supporting it, people strongly not supporting it, and a lot of people were in the middle. We asked, did you feel like the event benefited your business? 20% said that only 20% said they felt strongly that it benefited their business. 30% said strongly they felt it did not benefit their business. The other 50% were kind of indifferent. They were in the middle. We asked, did the attendees come back at other points in the year? And 38% thought they did, 17% thought they did not, 45% were in the middle, they didn't know. But the final one was, would you like to see Thunder Valley Rally continue? And 74% of the members that responded said yes, they did want to see it continue. 18% said no. And there were some that didn't select anything, so not sure what exactly they wanted to take the survey for because they didn't select any answers. But there were also a number of comments. We had a comment section, and there were some really legitimate, good comments, good and bad, about the event that I did share with Hezekiah, and I know that the committee will be addressing some of those. Some of them can be addressed, some of them, the committee will have to be creative in addressing. But I just wanted to share with you the results that, from the survey that the Chamber did.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, so I really appreciate everybody's, go ahead and give yourselves a big hand. You wanted to speak? Did I miss you? Okay, well, just, okay. Well, you just go right ahead. Just give us your name for the record. I may have turned over two papers.
You know what? It might be with the all those letters.
Oh, it could be
Yeah.
mixed in there somewhere.
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And thank you to the citizens of Cottonwood that came out today. Appreciate that. And the citizens of Arizona that came up from Phoenix and Chandler and Mare and Prescott and all over the state. And with that, I guess thanks to the first responders, the military personnel, past and present, they're out here. That's a large part of the Verde Valley community too. So motorcyclists, bikers, if you will. You don't know who they are. I mean, they're contractors, they're the fast food workers that served you lunch today, business owners, pastors, the guy that does my yard, they're all motorcyclists. You don't know that stuff. Like Kyle said, I can throw this away because everything I had written down to speak to you about, it's already been covered pretty much. A couple things. I live in Mare. One of my favorite rides in the state after moving up there 2 years from the valley is up Jerome, Clarkdale, Cottonwood, up to Sedona, right through here. One of my favorite rides. My friends come up from the valley from out of state. This is where we come. This is it. The rally, family friendly. If you were over at our booth, they go, "What are you doing, Logan?" I says, "Well, we got to have something for everybody." There's this guy down in Coolidge, Wild Man Phil. He talks to kids about animals and stuff. I says, "Yeah, bring it on up." So over at our booth, we must have had 50 to 60 families running through our booth between those 2 days, checking out his little alligator, Stumpy the tortoise with 3 legs and a wheel. I saw a lot of families. I saw a lot of kids. I put a thing on Facebook and said, "Save Thunder Valley Rally." The response was phenomenal. I brought 25 letters. He made my job easy. He said, "Give me 4 to read." We pulled 4 out, gave them to you. You have the rest of them that you can look at. You need to welcome back the bikers next year. There is a lot of talk out there like Cottonwood doesn't like motorcyclists, don't like bikers. That needs to change. So the theme next year needs to be welcome back bikers. That's one thing. And I love Cottonwood, and I love Old Town Cottonwood, so let us come back next year, please.
Thank you, appreciate those comments. So if we could give him a big hand. And Matt, if you would scan all of these and send them to the council members so that we can all have a copy of them, that would be great. Okay, council, so it's your turn to talk now, and if we want to just start with Mr. Pratt, and we'll go to our left. And oh, yes? Okay. Oh,
You skipped me.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just had a quick story. I heard lots of talk about bikers and merchants and so on and so forth. And I'm a merchant. My daughter spoke for us. I own the Tea House in Old Town, and we do get blocked, and that's always entertaining. And but I have this couple that comes all the way from England to my tea house, and they happen to come during Thunder Valley Rally, and they walk all the way through the crowd to get a pot of tea because the bikers don't bother them. And they just think, well, let's have a pot of tea. We're here from England. So what's the big deal? If these guys come from England and walk through a crowd of bikers and they feel perfectly fine and safe, there you go.
I would just like to say, if you all look at the Verde Independent, there's a beautiful story about Christina, who just was recognized by Hospice of the Pines, and she's their hero of the month, and she is a remarkable woman. Congratulations on that article. I really enjoyed reading it. Okay, anybody else that I missed? If not, we'll start with Terrence.
Yeah, as you probably all know, I'm supportive of it. I think it's good for the city. It's good for the economy. We do invest a little bit of money, but that money comes back into the local area. And, you know, a lot of you said Verde Valley. Well, we do. We all share the same neighborhood, and we have a reputation for working closely with our other cities. So we're happy that we help fill the hotels in Camp Verde, because if Camp Verde does well, we do well. It's a Verde Valley-wide event, brings people into Cottonwood, it brings them back. Again, I've just met so many great, wonderful people at this event, and so you can tell I support it, and I can't say anything more than all of you have said, and I appreciate you all showing up and speaking your minds.
Mr. Garrison?
I don't even know where to start. I've been paying attention to what everybody's been saying. I haven't been thinking about what I'm going to say. I guess my concerns, and I think I stated it at the last meeting, really have mostly, they revolve, I don't have a problem with the event. I'm a big supporter of working on the event. I have been for the last 2 years, put in a lot of time and energy trying to make the event better and bigger and more prosperous. But that's kind of where I'm having some issues with this whole event is everybody's talking about welcoming bikers. And unfortunately, that's just part of the conversation we're having here tonight. Christopher really hit where I'm going to come from, and my concerns with this event is at the end of the day, somebody has to pay for this. And the loss to the city was $63,000. That's the loss. That's huge. Our budgets aren't at a point where that's fluff, that we're cut to the bone. We could only give the senior center up the street here $55,000 this year to buy food for people for a whole year. We just don't have a lot of money left to do things that don't bring back a revenue. And as all of you stated, you bring in revenue that weekend. The numbers, I think, that were provided for us are skewed really badly, I think. You know, as one of the hotel owners stated, a full room, a full night in Cottonwood is $28,000. If you take that up to $40,000 for a night based on some of the hotels increasing their rates for the event because they can, because everything is full. Say you're at 40,000, if they stay 3 nights, that's 120,000 that Cottonwood receives out of what was quoted as $1.2 million. So there's $1.1 million of that $1.7 million that's coming from somewhere else, but it's not paying for the people who are putting this event on for you. I read back through, Jesse had asked, Mr. Dowling had asked to have the minutes from all the conversations on Thunder Valley Rally going back to 2011. So we read through all those today, and one of the topics that was brought up in 2013 when we had the discussion about how to create this event, make it a little better, I think we were on our second year that year, was we've got to figure out how to make this more regional and get more cooperation from the partners around us in making this a bigger and better event. Jerome, I've talked to the council members in Jerome, they don't want it. Talked to Clarkdale, they don't want it. Sedona doesn't want it. Camp Verde doesn't want it. They want the business to a point, but they don't want to help us take and bring this and make this a bigger event. As was stated by many of you here in the audience tonight, is this has somehow become an Old Town event, and I don't think it's an Old Town event. It needs to be a Cottonwood event, and it needs to be a regional event, just like Mr. Pratt stated. This benefits everybody in the entire Verde Valley, but we're not getting any buy-in from the other communities when it comes to helping with the ride, helping with any of the events. They're not participating. They're not helping us help you make this a better event. We've got to figure out how to change that. One of the other concerns we had, and we've been talking about that at the last couple committee meetings, is we got to figure out how to make this a better event, a higher quality event, so we can raise our revenues. I think we'll get to a point, as Hezekiah's been saying for years, we're going to get to the point where it's going to make money that weekend. It's going to pay for itself that weekend, and we won't have to count on the theoretical visitor coming back all year long. But I don't believe we're going to be able to grow it in Old Town. So I'm not sure Old Town is the place to continue to have this event. We've only got 2 blocks. If we grow it any further than those 2 blocks, we're limiting the access for all the other people in the community to get down there besides the bikers, and that's a negative for the event also. So I think we got to figure out how to grow it. Don't necessarily need to make it longer, but we need to make it bigger. We need to figure out how to raise the quality so we can make it pay us back. The city can make money instead of lose money. The amounts of loss in this event is atrocious. But I don't know that we're going to be able to do it the way we've been doing it. I think the committee's on track to make it better. This year was a phenomenal success as far as I'm concerned, especially if you base it on the year before. People thought it was going to die, and it did nothing but go the other direction. It was a success. So I'm all for the rally. I like it. I like bringing the crowds to town. I like the tourism. I like the economic development it brings with us. But at the end of the day, we got to figure out how to pay for it, and we got to figure out how to make it profitable so we can continue to do this as well as all the other things we're going to be asked to do. Matter of fact, the very next item on the agenda is Tilted Earth. They're coming to town wanting us to pony up well north of $50,000 to help provide that event. We don't have those kind of funds anymore. Those aren't available to us. So we're going to get into this pick and choose. And nobody sitting up here, I think, wants to be in the position of picking and choosing one event over any other, especially when you have such an adamant crowd that appreciates the flavor of the event and what it does for the community and what it does for them by bringing it to our community. So anyway, I'm all for the event. I just got to figure out how to get around the money aspect of it, and we got to figure out how to make it profitable so we can continue to provide it without losing all our funding every year.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
You said how much it's grown.
If you would come up to the lectern, please. Thank you.
You're talking about how much has grown this year.
compared to last year. This is the first time, I believe, that we had a committee together of local people that worked on this thing all year long. You were at the meetings, I was at the meeting, and we put in all this effort, and it did a lot better than we were expecting for the first year of us doing this. In the past, you guys have always hired promoters, paid out money, and this and that. This loss was the littlest loss it's had. If we grew it that much in a year, what can this group grow it next year? Can you, if instead of, I understand the concerns and the taxes and the supporting bits. I get all that. I've been doing this for 30-some years. I got to do the same thing. How am I going to pay this employee? How am I going to pay that? You got to figure out what works the best. But if you guys could look at it in a way that instead of just saying, boom, off of this 1 year or these past years when other people are taking care of it, if you would give this committee 2 more years to see if we could keep growing it like this and get that loss down. You know, give us a time period to work with when we go to sponsors. You know, we're asking them for $20,000 to sponsor this, but we may never have it again. Why should they commit to that? If they go, okay, if I do this, I got first shot at next year if I want to continue. But when you tell them it's a one-time event, most likely, nobody wants to spend the money. You know, I personally spent a lot of money this year on different things, and I know a lot of people here did. I mean, I supplied the police department units to patrol, the fire department, the emergency services. I've done that for the marathon run and stuff, for the gentleman that had the heart attack when he was out running. I supplied rangers and stuff for the crews to use for that. I do all kinds of stuff like this for the city. I don't look at it, what will this do for me today? I'm looking, what will this do in the long term? And I believe this committee showed this year that we made tremendous growth and improvement over past years. We would just like the shot to continue at least 2 more years so we can show you we can get it to that. It won't happen overnight. Look at the kind of money Sturgis brings in. It didn't always bring that out. It lost money in the beginning. But look what it's turned into. And this is working towards that. Everybody left here, people that participated, I didn't hear one person go, God, I'll never be back here. This was awful. They were going, God, I had no idea there was this kind of riding out here. We put together a poker run that they covered 110 miles. We took them through Jerome. We took them to Camp Verde. We took them through Page Springs, the wineries. We took them through Sedona. We took them to the Chapel on the Rock. They were amazed by how neat it was. They're all going, man, we're going to come back up here. We're going to come back up here. We're just asking for a chance to continue it. Don't look at how much we improved it from last year to this year or the previous year. Take that into consideration, please. That's all I ask.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I've had 2 real memorable encounters with bikers. Once I was a teenager, I was living on a treasure island in Florida, and a friend of mine got a bike, and I was riding on the back of it, and he hit sand, and I ended up in a patch of sand spurs. I've been listening to the talk about leathers. I think I wish I'd had some that day, because I couldn't sit for about a week the way I landed in those sand spurs. Another one, my husband had an employee, Hippie John. He was a garbage man. He got married in Portales, New Mexico. My husband was best man. We were given the choice of the best tent in the yard to spend the weekend, and he was also a biker, and his friends were bikers. When we got there, we found out that I think there was 15, 20 of them waiting for us. They had new leathers, they'd polished their bikes, and we were treated like a king and a queen because I didn't know anything about bikes. My husband did, but I was so impressed by the way that they treated us and the respect that they gave us that I didn't have any perception of what bikers were like, but after I left there, I did. They were nothing but ladies and gentlemen, and it proves that just because they might ride a bike and wear leathers doesn't mean that they're bad people. And I was also going through some of these figures in our packet here, and it says net loss is 63,098.27, so it's 63,000 plus. Then the nonprofit funds raised were 26,652.51. Then the cash sponsorship was 14,500, And in-kind sponsorship was $43,590. I added that up. Now remember, the loss was $63,09827. You add those three figures up, and you've got $84,742.51. So those three items amount to more than what it says the net loss is on here. And I have waited on the Wednesdays before Thunder Valley Rally. My great-grandkids are over a lot, and we start waiting on Wednesday to hear the bikers coming into town. And it's become a game. Which one of them can come and tell me they heard a bike first? I live in Smelter City, not too far off, about a half a block off the highway. We enjoy listening to you guys coming through town. And I don't go down to it very often because I'm a widow now, and I don't drink. Although the music is really good, I love Mogollon. I like what they've done down there. It's just maybe someday I'll make it down there more than just an hour or two and listen to more of it. But I've asked people coming through my house. I asked a lady today that has lived here, and she plays in a band here in town. And I've gotten some real good opinions, and the people I thought were going to tell me that they thought it was a waste of time and a waste of money have said no. They enjoy it. They go down for an hour or two, they go home, then they go back. And I've not found anyone that lives here in Cottonwood that is opposed to it. So that's my take on it.
Thank you. Mr. Elinsky?
First, let me say I really appreciate everybody showing up. It takes a lot of bravery to get up in front of the council and stand up for what you believe in, and I do appreciate everybody coming here, and I appreciate you setting up the Facebook page to educate everybody about the issues. The biker, the motorcycling community has every right to have a rally. You have every right to enjoy your time, and what I have to weigh is Cottonwood the right place for the rally? So I'm going to give you things from my perspective so you'll understand when I take my vote where I'm coming from. And interestingly, just add to the long list of professions that bikers have, and you can add council member to that list as well, because I do ride. My wife rides. I've ridden for years. My family rides. I enjoy it very much, but I also serve on the city council, and at the end of the day, I have to balance the budget, and I have to provide a budget that's fair to the entire community. And this is an event which is exclusively marketed to the motorcycling community. And it's the biggest event that the city of Cottonwood puts on that consumes the biggest amount of staff time and puts our community at the biggest risk in case the event doesn't go off well due to weather or any other kind of circumstance. The citizens of Cottonwood are going to be left at the end of the day footing the bill for this event. It's not a regional event. It's an event that 11,721 people are taking the risk on. So at the end of the day, though I love riding, I have to weigh all these different things out because I have to represent my people up here. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just representing my constituents right now. So NAU did a survey. Actually, NAU didn't do the survey. The staff did the survey at the event, and they gave the numbers up to NAU, and they compiled a lot of information. Like Mr. Garrison said, he feels the numbers are skewed, and I would agree. Just based off of common sense, perusal of the document and then getting into more the meat of the numbers, I realized there were just a lot of disparities in the figures that were presented. So I have done my homework on this. I called Tom up there at NAU, who did this study, Combrink, and I asked him a lot of questions. And he said he's very comfortable with the numbers based off the figures that were given to him, but that's really the hitch in this whole thing, is if the survey wasn't done correctly, then he really can't be confident that what the data that he's been given is very representative of the actual demographics that were there. So there were supposedly 10,000 people that attended the event. This is an estimate, so we don't really have any figures, on exactly how many people attended the event. They surveyed 152 people, and they asked them to estimate how much they spend at local merchants and whatnot. So we're compounding an estimate on an estimate, and we've extrapolated all this information to come up with a $1.7 million economic impact to our community. And that's not to be confused with Cottonwood, because Cottonwood doesn't have the economic infrastructure to absorb $1.7 million. We have 300 hotel rooms here. So there's no way that Cottonwood could possibly absorb that amount of money that comes to the area. It all leaks out into the outlying communities, which is fine. And that's as it should be, but this isn't a regional event. This is an event that, again, the citizens of Cottonwood are footing the bill for. So that's where I'm coming from on this. The biker community, the motorcycling community has done tremendous fundraising events for the city of Cottonwood. I'm familiar with BACA and the VFW riders. I support them and have supported them wholeheartedly from all the time I've been on council. I've been a critic of this event from the minute it was handed over to us from the casino. This is not an event which the Cottonwood Council ever at any point sat down and said, how do we want to put Cottonwood on the map? Do we want to put Cottonwood on the map as being the host for a motorcycle rally? Or do we want to put Cottonwood on the map for a multitude of other reasons that we've all worked really hard up here to create? We've tried to create an atmosphere. Well, there was a gentleman earlier in the audience that said that we were recognized by National Geographic as a geo-tourist destination. That's huge for Cottonwood and the Verde Valley. It may not mean a lot to everybody in the community, but this is going to pay huge dividends in the future, and we're one of a handful of areas in the United States that have received this from National Geographic. So, and this all comes out of an economic development strategy that we've been working on for 7 years, is focused on success. And we've outlined certain things that we want to do to promote the economy in Cottonwood. And I'm sorry to say, but the biker rally isn't one of them. It's not anything this council has ever sat down and said, we want Cottonwood on the map as a host for a biker rally. Now, it doesn't mean that bikers aren't welcome. They certainly are. They always have been, and they always will be. They're welcome to any event that we put on in Cottonwood. But this is an event, again, that takes up so much staff time, and really, we don't have the capacity. We're a small city. We're a poor city. We don't have the tax base to support an event of this multitude. This thing is going to grow exponentially, as everybody knows. Rallies across the nation, again, I've done my homework, they grow exponentially. Cottonwood can't sustain this far into the future. It's certainly not Old Town. It just can't do it. This has to be, if it's going to continue, it has to be a regional event. It has to be spread out. There has to be more support from the outlying communities. I'm sorry to say, but I've been critical of this event from day one, and it comes down to economic reasons primarily. And like I said, I have to represent my constituents, and I have to look folks in the eye and say, I'm sorry, we can't feed your hungry senior citizens because we lost $60,000 on this event. And it's hard to do that. Or we can't do that street improvement project because we're spending money to sponsor these events. So, we have to get creative on how this thing, if it's going to live, how it's going to make money, so it's not a drain to our citizens. Yes, ma'am, is that okay if she comes up?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Were you finished?
I'll keep going, but please, I'd love a question.
I just have one quick question.
Sure.
You had mentioned the cost that the city absorbed to put this together. When my husband and I ride for an event and a fundraiser, it costs us $20 to do a 60-mile ride that sometimes might offer food and sometimes they don't.
Right.
But I've chosen to spend that $40 to show support.
Right.
I think you could probably ask any of the biker people here how many times they've paid to do a fundraiser and paid $20 or $30 to do this fundraiser. And they'll all say, we've all participated in one way or another. Shame on the city council for not reaching out to the bikers who have a warm heart and would volunteer to help you probably 150%. I was just doing some math, and I figured even if you had 10,000, say you had 11,000 people, would you guys pay $5 to get an armband to go into this event? There you go. That's $55,000 that the city would get just from the bikers who want to attend this. $5 is a drop in the bucket. $5 is a drop in the bucket. I don't think anyone would have a hard time supporting the city of Cottonwood.
Please.
So, okay, Mitch. If we could, like, everybody's had a chance to speak, so
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just
want
wanted to address that. I'm also on the committee for the rally, and we discussed charging a fee, but we all agreed that after the fiasco that happened last year, we needed to put together 3 solid years before we reached out and said, would you pay $10? Or even put donation boxes out and ask people to donate money so the city wouldn't have to lose anything. But we all agreed we needed 3 solid years to show there's a good event and everybody was welcome. After every bike was searched, the fences were put up and everything, because the promoter that ruined the rally last year, we made up all that ground this year and more than we ever expected. So give us the opportunity to do that, and we can turn this thing around. Even if we break even, all that money that's coming in as far as tax revenue, everything else, breaking even is the key at least. But I think we can make money, but give us the opportunity to do so.
Okay, you want to finish up, Tim?
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that the good folks in the room here wouldn't pay $5, $10, $15 to attend the event. I'm just saying that the last 4 years that this event's gone on, it's lost money. So I'm looking at the bottom line of what this event has produced. I know that this event can produce money for the city. I know that it right now has an economic benefit for the city. I don't believe that the economic benefit is what this survey states it is, but I know that it does. I'd be naive to say that it doesn't. I mean, average biker, when they're out riding, they spend anywhere $250 to $300 a day on their ride, per person. So I understand that there's an economic benefit to the biking culture and to the motorcycling community to get them to come through your city. I'm not arguing that at all. And when I'm out riding, I spend that same amount of money, and the people that I run into are very gracious for that. What I'm saying, again, my point is, this isn't something that the council sat down to plan to do. It's something that fell into our hands. Okay, so I'm just saying that it's dividing our resources. We're trying to move forward on a bunch of other plans to promote the economy of Cottonwood in different ways that's not exclusive to a motorcycling community, but includes the rest of the community, because though you all come from different walks of life, there are many other needs and many other segments of the community that we have to support as well. So this event is going to divide those resources tremendously, because we don't have that much staff to put this event on. And even with all the volunteer help and everything to put this event on, it's still going to divide resources, and it's going to cost the taxpayers and put them at risk to put this event on. So that's where I'm coming from. Yes, sir. Do you mind if I'm calling him up, or do you want to try to control that?
I'll control it. So yes, please come to the lectern. Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, evening. Why don't we underline
Will
the
you
event?
please state your name?
My name is Ron Petrowski. I'm from Prescott Valley.
Thank you.
Why don't we underline Thunder Valley Rally, say, this year we're doing it for the senior centers so they can have food for the year. Let's underline it with something else besides a biker community.
We do.
Okay, so
we gave this year's monies to the Verde Valley Military Service Park.
Okay, so next year let's do it for the senior centers.
Or we could do extra events throughout the year for the senior
I'll pay
center. That would
$25
be
to come up
helpful,
here to
too.
the event. I don't have a problem.
Right. So were you finished? Oh, yeah, not you. Mr. Elinsky, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Mr. Dowling?
All right. I try to not miss meetings, and I seriously regret that I missed a meeting that this kind of popped up on. And I apologize to the rest of the council for that. But first off, I just want to say that thanks everybody for coming. I just want to say that I appreciate Tim and his. I've had a couple chances in this situation to be the most unpopular man in the room. And it is difficult when you are trying to do your best, and you're kind of. I just want to thank him and tell him I appreciate him standing by what he believes, and I think that's what we're all really looking for in this world, is to work with people that stand by what they believe. And so I appreciate Tim and his position on this, and I appreciate all your passion for this subject. I think that, There's a couple specifics here. When I see this, I look at this as locational and logistical issues. I do civil engineering as my regular day job, so we look at, designing parking lots and fitting houses on lots and subdivisions and space and acreage and capacities. And I think that there's a lot at play here. This isn't just it's very cut and dry when you're passionate about it, and you only really, if you're kind of coming in for that couple of days, you've got that perspective on it. When you are living there, and then, you've got to try and integrate people showing up for a couple of days to have a good time, there's a whole other layer of logistics and location issues. In the end of the whole thing, we are really limited to a physical space. And how we best manage that physical space for the safety, health, and well-being of everybody involved, I think, is key. And like Mr. Garrison said, I went back through and tried to get the history of this whole thing, kind of remembered where we started from. And, why did the casino kind of come and say, here, take this from us? So it's kind of like they ran their life cycle with it, and it was past what they could keep doing. And we sort of tried to pick it up and keep it going. I know we've had our issues with it. It's been very interesting reading through the history of it, seeing that indeed Mr. Alinsky's had a concern about this from day one. This isn't like he just woke up a couple weeks ago and said, I really got a problem with this. He's been there, if you go through all the minutes, he's been there the whole time saying, there's problem, we need to work on these issues. So this isn't a new thing. I think that a lot of the draw for this is Old Town, obviously, per the surveys, and being able to park your bike on a main street and have that walk-around ability is key. But as I said, there are just some sheer physical limits to how many people you can put into one space before you start having issues. So I think that, much like Mr. Garrison said, if there's a way that we can look at this, I think we have all invested a lot in this. Your passions, and the community as a whole, and the city is trying to do its best to make everybody. It's trying to do its best to benefit its citizens that are here 365 days a year, as well as hosting people from outside to market ourselves. And we are sort of hung on being the hub of this valley, and we really rely on sales tax from everybody coming through here. So when you put yourself at that position, you're sort of at the behest of the public and the people who come through. So you try and satisfy them and still satisfy your local community. So, and that's not a balancing act that is always successful. There will always be somebody who's upset or has a bad time. You just have to manage that as best you can. I think that with all we've invested in this, I'd like to try and, I would hate to throw all that away. So I support the rally in general and in its configuration, but I do think that we need to seriously, in our situation, look at the logistics and the location of it and try and really be honest with how it's going to fit and how it's going to grow. Because if we're doubling our size every year, and we went from 3 or 4 or 5,000 to 10,000, so next year we go to 20, then I'm just trying to physically imagine 30,000 people standing around on Main Street in Old Town. And I think at some point we're going to have a reality check that, as great as it is limited by it is just what it is. It is a little Main Street. If you want to, when this first started, I think when we actually were talking with some of the promoters, the 4 Coyote Brother guys, one of them I think I might have even said something like the Southwest Sturgis, and I kind of regretted that really quickly because, that got used sort of as a lot of people use that against the rally, saying we don't want Sturgis here. But, and I didn't want to instill that at that point. But, Sturgis is almost like a town that was built around the rally. And we're sort of trying to integrate a rally into the town. I know we've had a long history with having smokeouts at the smokeout thing that happened at the fairgrounds, and that had a couple of years of a run. I think that we have all invested so much in it, we need to try and keep it going, but we also need to be very honest and realistic in how we're going to do that. And addressing the shortcomings, if there are any, and trying to improve it for everybody going forward. So, that's where I'm kind of with, is that I see there's some issues we're going to have, but I think that we can try and deal with those. But we have to be willing to admit that there's issues and work together to deal with them and try and avoid, this becoming an us versus them thing. It's really, that's the first thing that everybody sees is appearances. But I think we need to avoid that. I think you guys have done very well at being, showing up and representing. And in the end, though, we all end up sort of having to represent the people who don't show up. So I've always had that kind of an interesting thing where whenever something comes into town and that one thing that gets a lot of people angry and upset, everybody shows up that day or for that meeting or the meeting after. And then in 2 weeks, we're sitting here talking to an empty room. So it's like everybody's all there when it directly affects them. But then when that gets dealt with or goes away, they just sort of vanish. And we're left with our one member of the public from the newspaper taking our quotes and our pictures over there. But so, I just like to see everybody turned out. Great. If we want to come up with some ideas from you guys to work on helping us with the charities and the things that we need to try and benefit, I appreciate that help, and I think nobody's going to turn that down. We've mentioned the charging for it. It's one of those things where it's easy to say, but then when you start charging for it, that's another whole bucket of worms. But I think we need to establish it as well-run and maintained and viable and moving forward and growing. And at a certain point, we may just run out of room, and that's just a fact of life. So we need to be able to admit that's a possibility. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Hadigi?
Yes, thank you. Pretty much all the good stuff's been said already, That's what I get for being down here at the bottom of the road here. But I share some concerns. I do feel we represent our citizens, and over the years there's been their comments on noise quite often. The issue of the venue at Old Town has never been my favorite place to hold this thing. Obviously, the diversion of the traffic through a residential area is a concern, shutting down the main road and ferrying people around. So, I've always questioned if Old Town was the right venue, and for me, the answer is no. I think if we're going to hold this Thunder Valley Rally, we've got a great facility at the fairgrounds to set everything up. And doesn't prevent anybody from riding their bicycle where they want to go, their bike, sorry. And that would be fine. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a concern about the loss of city revenue. If there's ways the committee can come up with mitigating that, and obviously, as was stated before, they figured there'd be a couple years that maybe it would take to do that, I would be willing to support that. But to me, the Old Town is not the right venue for this gathering, and I would rather see it at the fairgrounds. And pretty much that's what I have to say.
Okay, so, yes, Mr. Hez.
Madam Mayor, Council, just wanted to answer two questions that was kind of brought up. They were really good points. Staff and the committee realized that Old Town is a tough logistical position to have the event, and we're always looking at ways to improve it, the traffic flow, have the least amount of impact on Old Town as possible. But with that said, most rallies throughout the nation take place in small towns and small streets, main street areas, because that's the appeal. And that's what this group wants to see. And so we've tried hard to deliver that without having an impact on Old Town as much as possible.
Yes, Mr. Elinsky.
Regarding how much the event cost the city, I got a number from Hez, and I got a number that was twice as much as what you indicated from Rudy Rodriguez, the financial director. So at some point, and you may not want to do this tonight, but we need to get a handle on how much this event actually costs so we can set a benchmark that's realistic. So I don't know why those numbers were so different, and I'm not sure why we weren't given that information. And I think we also need to examine what the uptick is in sales too, so we can all have the information in front of us, because certainly that would come up on the radar as well. So let's please be realistic about what this is actually costing us, and that should include staff time as well.
I believe the number that we did represent from staff did include staff time at a little over $20,000, which was not asked originally for us to budget for. Our numbers include sales tax, which we consider a revenue for the programs, as we considered off money coming in from outside the area. And plus, our numbers includes the cash sponsorships.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Christopher Robin? You can't say just one name or the other, it has to be both.
Exactly. As most kids do. If we could just also be very clear, if anybody in here would like to go to YouTube, that's where all the city council meetings are televised and presented to the public, and go to November 10th, November 15th, November 10th, 2015. And Tim, you are a natural-born politician. You almost had me believing, had I not listened to your words today, which was, even if 100%, and this is quote unquote, 100% of the merchants of Cottonwood and 100% of its citizens wanted this to go on, I would still vote against it. That, sir, is not the definition of a public servant. That's the definition of a dictator. So let's just be clear.
Okay, so this is really a difficult situation because of the cost of the event, but there's almost nothing that the city does that doesn't cost some money. The Easter egg hunt costs lots of money, unless we get someone who will provide those funds with us. I think we've had some donors before. You know, the Brian Mickelson Memorial Marathon, everything we do, daddy-daughter date night, our sports camps, our rec center, Rhythm and Ribs cost us money, the Farmers Market Jamboree, everything does cost some money. And so what are we going to say that we can't afford or we're not going to do anymore? And I talked with Elaine Brimner, and I also talked with Damian Browning of Steps to Recovery Homes, and if the motorcycle community could help anyone, those two groups are just, in desperate need of food for the elderly, and for Damian, he helps people in recovery and helps them find jobs and become, as he says it, providing members to society. But so just about everything we do, every activity costs money. One thing in the Cottonwood Economic Development Council meeting, I don't think he would mind if I quoted him. Jackie Bessler was looking at, $60,000 versus 1.7 million. And he's like, it's a no-brainer. Why would you even question, what it brings in to the region? And I understand council members talking about Cottonwood itself, but unfortunately, Cottonwood is never by itself. Everybody counts on Cottonwood for something. Every resident who lives, especially in the Upper Verde Valley, counts on Cottonwood for a lot of things because they have businesses here, they work here, they might not live in the city, but they all are part of really our bigger picture in our community. We're responsible to provide ball fields for children that don't live in our town. And most of the kids on the Cottonwood Youth Advisory Commission don't live in the city of Cottonwood. So, I kind of look at Cottonwood as a larger entity. We also learned at our last meeting that we had 2,600 people, and some council members don't believe the stats, but hey guys, it's NAU. And yeah, you've done some research and you talked to them, and now staff is given the wrong numbers or whatever, but I think that The fact is, everybody is doing their best. Everybody is trying very hard to do the right thing for this event. And I don't think that I would personally point fingers at our staff to skew the numbers. I don't think that's done. I don't know, that bothers me. So we had 2,600 people that came here that were new people, never been to Cottonwood before, and yeah, it might be a couple numbers off. Maybe it was 2,500 people, I don't know. That's a lot of people, a lot of new people to come to our town to see Cottonwood, to see what it's like and say, yeah, I want to come back. I want to see more of Cottonwood. So the money that we give to many wonderful organizations, and there's never enough of it, never enough. But the fact is, these events are economic events, and they bring economic benefit. We spend money as a city, taxpayer dollars, but they bring an economic benefit overall to the whole community that benefits everyone. And I don't think Lana's here, but how does it, like, oh, Lana's still here. What is it like people spend, if you spend $1 in the community, it brings back $3, because we're talking a lot of really small businesses that are impacted, but you have to think of the economic development, and without economic development and spending some money on that, we're not going to have a penny to give to the senior center. We're not going to have a dime to give to Steps to Recovery homes, because without economic development, there are no funds for our wonderful nonprofit agencies that we do our best to help, and we try to every year do a little more if we can. So those are my points, that this event is economic development. I'm also sorry, I think that our council has been painted with a pretty broad brush, and I think all of you who know me know that I think the biker community is wonderful. At the last event that you held here for the teen center, I actually paid my fee, and I only just drove my truck to the rec center because I don't have a bike, but you guys are really some of the best folks that I know as far as giving of yourselves to others and for the good of others. So please don't paint us with a broad brush, because it just ain't so that we all feel that you're not valuable, because you are. So it's really hard. It is a lot of money. I did see in Hez's presentation that we have goals. We're trying to get 10% more. Maybe we can get 20% more. We have a wonderful team of people throughout the community that are working on this, that are dedicated to listening to everybody, even those that hate the event, those that love the event. They're really working hard. They're members of our community to try to make this something that works better for everyone. So those are my thoughts.
Madam Mayor, could we have some discussion on what I mentioned about taking this to the fairgrounds instead of in Old Town Cottonwood? See what the council feels about that.
So starting with, you want to just hear everybody's thoughts?
I just like the conversation on that to see where everybody's at.
If it grows much bigger, I could see it, but at the size it was, and it's not going to grow that huge, it's not uncommon. In fact, it's very common to have these events in the type of situation we have it in. So I kind of like it in Old Town Cottonwood. And it's only for 2 days. And I think most of the folks I've talked to like it there. I've talked to a lot of people in the biking community, and they said they actually liked it here better than the casino because we had the restaurants available and the shops, and it just gave them a sense of community. So if it expands too much, obviously we would have to move it. But for now, I'd like to keep it in Old Town Cottonwood.
Mr. Garrison?
As Dennis pointed out, the committee has been tasked with making it a bigger, better event, and I think we're on track to do that. And I'm supportive of going that route. The concern I voiced was the same as Mr. Dowling said, is it's 2 blocks. We only have 2 blocks. You can only put so many vendors, so many motorcycles, so big of a stage in 2 blocks. And We talk year after year of let's go both directions, another block, add another block to the north, add another block to the south, but it doesn't work because then we trap our only street through downtown by chunking it off. And then all of a sudden we end up with this configuration we had 2 years ago, which was a flop. So in my mind, the reality of the situation is that the rally's a great event, it's a great draw, it's a great economic promoter for the area, but it can't stay in Old Town if we're going to really honestly try and make it a self-sustaining event moving forward. And I'm not a fan of the fairgrounds. It didn't work when Smokeout was there. We have a fantastic facility at our Riverfront Park. Tilted Earth has taught us that one works very well. We could actually charge, which is one of the concerns we've had forever, is how do you charge people to come to a concert that's free on Main Street? Because if you charge a ticket to get on a Main Street, well, now you're not going to get your tourists to your shops because they're going to have to pay a fee to get into the streets. So moving that down to Riverfront Park would give us the venue to be able to actually charge for that. It was brought up that the bikers will pay 10, 15, 20 bucks. Well, if you look at the presentation that was made in the questionnaire that was asked, it was like 80% of the people say they don't want to pay to come to the event. So you're saying they will, but when they were questioned on it, they don't want to. And I understand that. So all I'm saying is we've got to figure out how to keep it here, how to make it sustainable, how to grow it to the point where it is sustainable. And I don't believe that Old Town's going to be the format or the forum for that to be as prosperous as we want it to be. And my take would be to take it to Riverfront. We have a huge amount of land down there. If they come to Cottonwood, they're still going to go to Old Town. They're still going to go to Uptown. They're still going to go to Main Stage. They're going to go everywhere. It puts it more central. It creates maybe a bigger feeder going out into the entire community instead of everything focusing just on that 2 blocks. And like I said before, we get criticized a lot for being Old Town Council. Well, we're not an Old Town Council, we're Cottonwood Council. We got to figure out how to make the entire town prosperous, not just that 2 blocks of Old Town. And this has become labeled as an Old Town event, and I don't believe it is. It's a regional event, and what I said before, it's the same thing we've been talking about. We got to get the other partners in the area that economically benefit from this event to help move this thing forward. But right now, they're unwilling to do so, and we've got to figure out how to turn that around. So anyway, I'm all for the event. I just think we've got to figure out how to make it prosperous and successful, and I don't think Old Town's going to be the venue that's going to allow us to do that moving forward for much longer anyway.
I like the Old Town location, but we are going to outgrow it. I think we also need to be very open-minded about it. We do have local people, local bikers, out-of-town bikers on our committee, right? And I think if we leave it up to them, because it's grown with them being involved in it, it's like having a teenage party and you put it on and you think you know what the teenagers want. Well, I have no clue what people that ride bikes want, so I'm not on the committee. We leave it up to them and stay open-minded about it. If it has to move to Riverfront Park, I think that would be much better location than the fair. I can't see it at the fairgrounds. And if you've ever gone down there and you see all the bikes lined up on Main Street, I think that they would still line up on Main Street like they do, but then have the concerts somewhere else, and it would spread it around. It would spread it out of Old Town a little bit. It would probably take care of some of the congestion, but I think if we leave it up to our staff and the committee and keep an open mind about it, I think this could be a great success.
Mr. Elinsky?
I think there's going to be logistical issues with keeping it in Old Town, especially if you're sincere in wanting to pay an entrance fee. I don't know how you would cordon off Old Town. I know the merchants probably wouldn't support that because it would, other folks who want to visit Old Town that don't want to attend the rally would then have to pay an entrance fee to get in Old Town. So I think it's going to outgrow Old Town here very quickly. That being said, as you all know, I think Cottonwood should not be the host city for the rally.
And I guess if we could just disclose, if we have a relationship or a business or a home in Old Town, the public should know that. So,
I'll disclose.
Okay.
I've got 8 properties in Old Town. I have 3 businesses in Old Town. I prosper from all traffic comes to Old Town. But I'll tell you, during the 3 days that Thunder Valley's down there, and I count Friday and Sunday as 2 of those days, I don't do any business whatsoever. It's a huge economic drain on me, but I participate wholeheartedly. I love having it down there. It's in my front yard. The event, I mean, I'm center stage. You can't get a better seat for the concerts than where I've got in, and yet I don't know that that's the appropriate place to have this anymore. What else do you want me to disclose?
that sounds good to me, just so the public knows that you do have a personal interest in
And I've owned-
voting on this issue.
I've owned 9 bikes and 3 RVs.
I know.
so.
I've had 3 tricycles.
3 tricycles?
A little pedaling.
Okay, and anybody else that has a personal connection to Old Town?
Yes, my wife owns a business in Old Town.
Okay.
Are you asking me to disclose that I live in Old Town?
Whatever.
Because I do. I live right on Cactus Street. I'm very supportive of all the other events that close down Main Street to divert traffic onto Cactus Street, where I live, including Walking on Main, which is an event that hasn't grown exponentially, but certainly been a positive event for the community, and I've never complained about that. My complaints about this event are quite different from the traffic impact on Cactus.
I work at a building in Old Town called City Hall, so I have a connection. Anybody else with a connection? Okay. So, Mr. Elinsky, Mr. Hadege's question. Oh, you answered it, Mr. Dowling.
What's that?
She wants you to disclose any.
No, do you?
I walked there.
Mr. Hadege is asking about having it in Old Town, the event.
Oh, about moving it from Old Town to the fairgrounds, and I kind of like Randy's suggestion that maybe Riverfront Park may be a better venue. And if we're eventually going to have to move it anyway, why not move it there now?
Yeah, I think we have the real possibility for a successful hybrid using Main Street as a bike show alley and integrating that, but maybe not having the stages there that block off so much traffic. And then we could have the staging and the music and the other event maybe at the riverfront. And we do have a great city transit system that would move people back and forth as needed. You know, I think, like I said, it's logistics and location. So I think that to limit ourselves to 2 blocks is, you know, eventually we're just going to get bigger than that. We need to be willing and accepting of working around it. And I think that as long as everybody's willing to accept that that's a possibility, that we could work this out to where it's less impactful on the people that it most impacts and still lets everybody get here to our area and have a good time. You know, I think that there's a lot of possibilities there, and to just narrowly look and say we're only going to do it in Old Town really shortchanges us on a lot of the other things our city has to offer.
Okay, and I kind of was thinking along the same lines, you know, what about Treasure Island or whatever, or Treasure Hunt, where you might have activities at different places, and that would be a draw, you know, to get the bikers or whoever, all the community members that participate to an area. And Rose, did you want to comment on that? If you come up to the lectern, please.
I know that was previously, like, the poker run is usually what that has to do with, and I do recall reading through the minutes that had kind of waned over the last couple of years, and it wasn't happening as much, or the years previous to
last year really took it down.
Right.
2014.
So
it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this year it got better, and I think next year it will be.
Yeah, this year we made great progress, and what we're doing is we're developing a route system, and what we need is just a couple of more years of not changing anything so drastically and splitting the rally in 2, because that's what you're basically talking about. When you talk about other huge events like Arizona Bike Week, Sturgis, we're not there yet. We're not even close. These events, they do have draws in different locations. If you're in Sturgis, you're going to go visit Mount Rushmore, you're going to go to Crazy Horse, you're going to go to Buffalo Chip, where all of these events are huge. but we're not there yet. Give us a little time to develop a root system, and we'll grow like this instead of splitting us in half on the very next year where we had great success. Don't split us in half yet. I can see how it would grow. Have the party on Main Street. I think Riverfront Park is a great way to grow too, but we're not there yet. So just, think about it just a little bit.
Just when you talk about moving it, you got to think about parking for motorcycles. They don't do well on grass and dirt. They fall over a lot, and people won't park there, so they'll just leave. And the other thing, we're talking about trying to grow it. We were begging people to be vendors this year because they were so upset over last year. They wanted money back last year. They weren't happy. This year, they're calling us the week after it, asking, can we come back next year? By getting them excited about it, we can start charging more money and limit the spaces to this is all the spaces we've got, and this is what they're going to cost, because we do have a limit on room. But it's great when the vendors are calling, asking you, what do they got to do to be there? A week after the event, so it's still a year away, and they're asking to come. They've never done that before. So this is some of the improvement we're doing. As she's talking about trying to build the roots, when these people call and want to come to it, but if we tell them, well, it's totally different this year, that's what we're saying. Give us some time to make them happy so they'll trust what we're doing when we go to move it. We'll tell them this is for good reason, and they'll believe it because they got some history with us. So, thank you.
It makes sense to me. So we have a committee, and the committee is made up of council members, 2 council members, and it's also made up of many highly esteemed people who live in our community who really care about Cottonwood and the Verde Valley. And my suggestion would be, I like Mayor Howdige's thoughts on, maybe it's not a large enough venue, but I also believe that it's too fragile right now, just from the 1 year of really being able to break out of the 2 years prior to that, and to give them a chance to make it work, and then think about how can we spread it out and take some pressure off of Old Town. And I think that, you could talk about that and come up with some ideas, along with, as I said at our last meeting, along with going to the other towns. Now, Mr. Garrison said he's talked to them, but, one council member doesn't necessarily mean that it's a no. I would really like to talk to the other cities and towns, and maybe the other chambers, like especially the Sedona Chamber, as they have 3,000 hotel rooms, and they benefit a lot. Although somebody said, he said, she said, they said that they would have a lot of business anyway that time of year. So, just keeping that line of communication open with the other entities. So, you've been standing there a long time. Did you wish to wrap it up here?
Yeah, Madam Mayor and Council, I'm Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager, for those that don't know, over the Department of Parks and Recreation. The one thing is, this event, I know that Mr. Alinsky has identified very specifically that it's rather exclusive and not inclusive. Well, this is one thing that we're charged with doing special events, and this is something that we do. This is something we were asked to do by the council. Staff brought on a board, pulled them together, tried to do the best they can. We pull our numbers together and basically identify and state that staff is purposefully doing anything with numbers. I disagree wholeheartedly. Okay, and that's where I'm going to stand with my staff. The one thing we try to do is we try to keep up with the numbers as best we can. When we have national acts, they change things. They make requests, even though that we write down specifics. The stage was identified as larger. We have more fence to put up. We have all of these things that change the cost right in the middle of the program. And from year to year, this program grows, and it's going to do the same thing. So we're trying to keep up with those costs, and naturally those costs are going to go up. And Rudy definitely sees cost is what that does happen to us. So we do see those increases. The one thing we are charged with, though, it's the same thing as when we look at doing the skate park, when we look at doing the roller hockey, those are all exclusive. You know, we're doing Little League programming. We set up ball fields. The council basically were the ones that came forward with Little League when we didn't have the finalization of the numbers. They came up with almost $180,000 more in order to provide that Little League park. You know, the council has been continuous with that for the last 20, 25 years that I've seen. They've been very proactive in their stand to make this the community it is today. Movoto sees that. Movoto identified Cottonwood as number 6. If we start taking away, I can say one thing is that if we reduce and Rose specifically stole my thunder in that context of things, if we split things, if we delve it out from where it's at, we're going to lose this event. And I can tell you that's exactly what will happen, is that people already have identified, you know, bring it back to Old Town, bring back the old stage, bring back the way that it was, and that's what we did. We relied upon the board to basically make that statement as well, and that's what we did. So we're just trying to follow along with what council is identifying to us, what they would like, and staff is trying to do that as well. A very small staff. And Hez does a great job along with Ryan and everybody trying to keep up with everything that they do. So I just want to, you know, indicate that, say they're a wonderful staff, and they're probably one of the best in Northern Arizona. And so I commend them on that. And they continue with that, and they keep Cottonwood at the forefront. They look at this community because they live in the Verde Valley, and this is their home as well. They love this place, and they want to see the best that they can. So I just want to make sure that we bring that out. So that's what I know that we're charged with listening to you as to what your advice is, but I want to bring back, this is something, you know, we're trying to do as well, as try to upscale Cottonwood. We hear it when we go to the Arizona Parks and Recreation State Association Conference. We hear about all of the things. Hey, you guys are doing some incredible things there. You build a recreation center. You know, you've got an incredible motorcycle event. We hear about the wine and the wine industry growing. These are the things that we hear down in the Phoenix area or in the Tucson area. You folks hear the same thing when you go to different programs. And so this is all we're trying to do as well. So I'll cut it short there. Just leave it at that.
Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we hear the same things at the League of Cities and Towns. Do you think it's time for a motion?
Well, Mr. Howdeggy, would you be willing to say that, to have the committee work on your request to take some pressure off of Old Town, and would you be willing to leave it up to the committee this coming year?
I think that's a very good idea, Madam Mayor. I think it's something that has to be addressed, whether now or later. So the sooner the better, I think, if that's going to be the reality in the future. I'm not comfortable with 20,000 people in the middle of downtown. I'm telling you that right now. You know, so we know where I'm coming from. And there are impacts to the residents in that town. That is a residential area, and they put up with the impacts of that too. So we have that to look at too. So if they would consider it, kick it around. If as been stated before by people who probably know a little more about me about this fairgrounds than I do, isn't the right venue, then I think the Riverfront Park ought to be discussed and looked at. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your input on that, and speaking out for people in our community. So, Mr. Pratt?
I move to approve the continuation of the annual Thunder Valley Rally event in Old Town Cottonwood.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, the Vice Mayor seconded it. I would like a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Pratt.
Aye.
Aye.
Would you please say your name?
Terrence Pratt.
Okay.
Aye.
Randy Garrison, aye.
Karen Pfeiffer, aye.
Diane Jones, aye.
Tim Ulinsky, no.
Jesse Dowling, aye.
Ruben Haneggi, aye, with the caveat that the suggestions made be discussed by the committee so that we can look definitely into the future and move this out of Old Town. And only on the reason that we'll give a couple of years for this to go on downtown. And like I say, I'm not comfortable with those crowds down there that big. I think there's safety issues involved, so
Thank you very much. And the reason I asked for you to say your name and vote is because for the last couple of votes that we did that were a little bit more hot button, Mary Ann, our city clerk, wanted to be sure that she had the proper votes. And when we just raise our hands, when they're looking at writing the minutes, they really don't know. So that's why I asked you to do that this time. So the motion carries? No, a motion carries, so.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I make a motion on the next item?
We were going to table that.
Yeah. I
Okay,
was gonna
so
move
go
to
ahead,
table.
please do that.
Yeah, there was issues with it, so I moved to table the item, consideration of a financial partnership for the 2016 Tilted Earth Wine and Music Festival.
Second.
So we've had a first and a second, and for the discussion, one reason we're tabling it is because our partners are not here tonight. They were not able to make it. So it's pretty hard to discuss something without the main partner being here. So thank you, Mr. Pratt. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving to, I think, our last item is establishing the official founding date for Cottonwood, Arizona. So I
Mayor,
think Mr. Elinsky was going to,
Did you want me to go up to the podium or just address the council
here,
from here?
this is fine.
Okay. Do you want to wait for the room to clear out?
Or if you'd rather go up there, that would be fine too, whatever you'd like.
So our city's got younger. It was founded later, so it's technically.
Yes, it is, a little bit.
Does that throw us off on any historic registry type things or time frames?
No, it's really not a big deal. I mean, there's certainly people here a lot earlier, but
Do you need somebody to come hang out with you while you get that done?
it's just a matter of housekeeping.
Semantics.
Yeah. Housekeeping.
I
want to say thank you
why don't you
for
go
throwing me a little bone out there. It means a lot. Things still on, or do I need to bother talking to these? Thanks, Ryan.
Okay. All
right, so this is an issue that was brought up by the Historic Preservation Commission. One of the members was...
So if everybody could, if you would get that thing closer so we can hear you.
I'm trying, but I don't know if, is that good?
Okay.
There? Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, so if everybody would please listen to Mr. Elinsky
All
if
right.
you're in this room.
So, as many of you know, I chair the Cottonwood Historic Preservation Commission. This is an item that came up through the commission where there was a discrepancy discovered in the founding date of Cottonwood. And as most know, or maybe you don't know, the founding date of Cottonwood is widely recognized to be 1879, which through a lot of research we uncovered was untrue, though there were folks who had settled here at that date. The actual founding date of Cottonwood is July 9, 1885, and the original postmaster was Mac Willard. Operating out of what is now Nancy Burnett's house. There was a post office there at that location. So where the confusion lies, there was a packet of information included in your packet, I think.
It was.
I'm not finding it here on my, okay. Anyway, there it is. So essentially there was in Yavapai County around 1879, there was another Cottonwood, which was close to Big Bug. So there was a postmaster who ran that for, I think it was just around a year. And there was just some confusion in the listing of the postmasters through the years, where folks thought that Cottonwood was this Cottonwood. But there was a lapse between when the Big Bug Cottonwood closed down and then the Cottonwood that we all know started. But basically, the gentleman that was the postmaster at the Big Bug Cottonwood location, never had any ties to the Verde Valley, never had come here at all, lived exclusively out there. So it's pretty clear that he did not postmaster the Cottonwood here. He was not the postmaster of the post office here in Cottonwood. I'm trying to make this clear.
It's as clear as mud.
Yeah, good. So the bottom line is, prior to Cottonwood being Cottonwood, it was known as the Upper Verde. Mac Willard was the original postmaster in 1885, and that's when it was named Cottonwood. So it doesn't mean there weren't folks living here before. There certainly were, but 1885 is the official founding date of Cottonwood, as uncovered by the Historic Preservation Commission. So why is this important to all of us? It may not be important to all of us, but we do have the date incorrect on many of our documents, so it would be nice, just as a matter of housekeeping, to try to correct the date, set the record straight. Former councils and mayors have known of this. Don Hahn was one mayor who knew that the date was incorrect, and at the time, the Chamber of Commerce was planning a big 50-year anniversary for the city, and they all had the date wrong. And so he just said, "What the heck? Let's have a party. Let's don't get hung up in the details at this point. Let's just go ahead and have the party." And so the date just sort of perpetuated. But bottom line is, 1885 is when Cottonwood received its first post office. That's when we were founded.
And we do have, I mean, all the history we have, our website, as you mentioned in here, needed corrected, but all the paper documents we have, there's a lot of paper historical accounts that we'll have to start correcting too when we run into them.
That was the recommendation from the commission, was that we go through and try to just set the record straight for the citizens.
And I love the backup materials. I want to go through and even spend some more time digesting it all.
Well, it's fascinating, and this is all thanks to Glenda Farley. She compiled all this information, and she's really a tremendous researcher and does a lot.
Oh, Glenda, yeah, thank you. Please let it be known we are thanking Glenda Farley for all she does. She just writes and studies and researches and has done a wonderful job on our history. So, Mr. Pratt?
This is one that seems like a no-brainer. If all these historical documents seem to be accurate, why wouldn't we want to establish that so that we are accurate on our website and other places? I think Mr. Alinsky should make the motion, since his committee did a lot of the research.
So I'll move to establish July 9, 1885 as the official founding date of Cottonwood.
I'll second that.
So Mr. Elinsky made the motion and helped with the research, and Mr. Dowling seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And did you note the record when Mr. Howdigi left? Okay. So I move to adjourn. Oh, wait. Oh, I got too anxious. You guys caught me again. Okay.
Second.
The Vice Mayor made the motion to pay the claims, and Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And I move to adjourn, and in the meeting, and I wanted to say at our coffee chat tomorrow that Rudy Rodriguez, our finance director, will be there to give some updates on the city. So I forgot to mention that before. So who seconded it? Okay, so you made the motion? So the Vice Mayor made the motion, Mr. Pratt seconded it to adjourn. We are adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.